Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Actually, and that reminds me of something I need to mention to you after the show about that. But I am your host, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. You can also find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects that hopefully you have heard come from none other than one agent_7D on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Straight up Brooklyn in the house. Representing.
I love it.
Not even a song this time.
No. Just a straight up shout out. You gotta love it. Yeah, you gotta love it. Folks, we are here as represented the Comic Book Chronicles, and you can find said Comic Book Chronicles at cspn.us. That's the Coastal of the Podcast Network. cspn.us.
Do it today.
And you could also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network SoundCloud page. And hey, folks, we record live every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Although we really need to get a bit around, especially when Loki's coming out. But tonight was my fault. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully, kind of ish, on either the YouTube channel of The Click Nation. That's youtube.com/The Click Nation. VKLIQNATION, or the Comic Book Chronicles Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. And hey, if you want to watch on Twitch, maybe give us a follow there, because we're definitely trying to get up to 50, so we can kind of upload some stuff that some past shows that people might enjoy, like our treasure editions, or our where we talk about event books at the beginning of COVID. That was a fun run.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that we probably won't, be back to now the books are back in circulation, because that was a time, folks, where books weren't in circulation, so we had to get up some content up, which luckily comic books is rife with.
Goodness, can you remember that? Holy cow!
I very much do. Like I said,
last summer, yeah, it was last. It was like last spring and early summer.
I still have the list, and that's like, if we ever get a chance to do some of that stuff, and like, yeah, we still have a whole list of event books to go through, pertinent. And some of it would probably still be pertinent, actually.
Definitely,
what's going on in MCU.
There's ways for us to work that in. We'll have to figure that out offline, but we could definitely work some of that stuff in, and maybe cut down on either the news or the reviews, depending on what we wanted to focus on each week.
I mean, yeah, we could totally do like treasure editions every now and then if we really wanted to, and then just focus on that, and just keeping like the treasure edition type stuff like we've been doing. So, but yeah, that is something to iron out at some. Hell, we still hadn't done end of the year stuff, but that's
and it's already mid-year.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? Who knows? That could still happen.
Gotta love it.
Yep. But being that the case, folks, we're going to start off with some comic books tonight, and I believe we said we are going to start off with. And actually, I've been keep saying I feel like we want to switch back to the old way, but maybe one day we'll do that too, just for old time's sake. Start with the news and then go into the books. But regardless, like I said, we're going to start off with books tonight, like we normally do, and we're going to start off with Heroes Reborn number 4.
I was about to say, the next time we get a guest, that's probably how we'll do it anyway. We'll start with the news, in case they want to chime in.
Yeah, we could.
So, but in any event, so we're going with Heroes Reborn number 4.
We are going with Heroes Reborn number 4.
All right, so this book is written by Jason Aaron with art the first part by James Stoko. The art in the second part is by Ed McGuinness and Mark Morales inking. Colors by Matthew Wilson on the second part, and letters by VC's Corey Pettit. That is a note because James Stoko does all of the art in that first story.
Right.
So, I'm just getting back to what we were talking about last week when it comes to Heroes Reborn. Bear in mind that Jason Aaron has made it very clear that these Heroes Reborn books are essentially one-shots that focus upon single members of the Squadron Supreme of America, as they are known in this reality. And we have these backup stories that help tie in as to help tie in the Avengers and the reality that we knew, and to see how a reality may be restored. But with regards to this first opening story regarding Dr. Spectrum, again, there are parallels to be found between Dr. Spectrum and Green Lantern. There's also parallels between some of the characters that are put up against Dr. Spectrum in this issue. Parallels between these Marvel characters and DC characters, namely Rocket Raccoon and one main man, the last Zarnian. It's Zarnian, right?
Yes. Oh, is it Zarnian or Zazarian? I think it is Zarnian though, because I feel like I just saw it.
I think it's Zarnian.
I think you're
So,
right.
yeah, the last Zarnian is one Lobo, and so you could see a lot of the parallels that are being drawn here, and I kind of got a kick out of it. It was pretty amusing to me, to see, how it had been all tied in.
Yeah, indeed. And also kind of linking in the Star brand with that. So I was like, all right, I see. I would legit love to kind of see, from what I skimmed through this, see a book of either how Rocket Raccoon ended up, being that way, or just like them Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner style, just fighting each other. Like every now and then they're just like, oh, here he goes again, and and then like obviously maybe not an ongoing, but probably like a mini series, of them just kind of like road running themselves into different fights,
right?
And maybe having to team up and end or something. I don't know.
Right. It was remarkable to see. I guess I don't have that much exposure to the Squadron characters, and it helped me really get familiar with the power level that Dr. Spectrum brings to bear, because this is not just a regular old Green Lantern. It's not. It's something far more powerful.
Right.
And I was very much taken by surprise by the power levels that he was exhibiting and talking about taking down these characters and putting them in like space prison. It's him by himself against Ego the Living Planet, and torturing Ego the Living Planet. And I was like, wow, that's okay, that's a lot.
It was Wakandan ships.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shoot stars at him.
Right.
And you know what I do to stars, don't you?
So I feel like Dr. Spectrum. Wait, is it? I think it might have been. Yeah, I think it is actually. Yeah, Dr. Spectrum's powers might be played up here, because I feel like in the past, while he has been powerful, he's not been this powerful.
Right. I'm pretty sure that's correct.
So I was like, no, we've seen him been able to low level do some stuff, but it was like, no, this is like more on to the level of a Green Lantern, as like you said, as opposed to what he's capable of doing here. Which, yeah, like I said, I would still like to see what I just said earlier, but it's crazy, and I'm kind of curious as when it gets back to the main Avengers book and the possibly inevitable, unless this is going to be it. Now, so this is the part we don't know. So if folks don't know, Jason Aaron's kind of been playing the long con with a lot of stuff in the main Avengers book, and the dealings with the Squadron Supreme and Coulson and things of that nature are still kind of ongoing. I doubt that this is going to take care of that, because I think this is kind of a sad thing that he had planned, obviously. But this is kind of sad thing that just kind of um adds on to that, I guess. Whether what ends whether if any of this ends up translating into the Avengers book back into the Avengers book properly, we'll see. I kind of doubt it because, like Agent 70 said, these are kind of like one-off shots that are kind of just kind of a side thing, and to which we still don't know how this universe came into being, but we kind of have an idea.
Right, we have more clues that are revealed this week, tying into something else that Roddykat mentioned last week. I remember Roddykat, we were talking about this just prior to the start of the show, where Roddykat was wondering, well, there's other characters that were factoring into the Avengers story that were also sort of tied into the Squadron Supreme, and it turns out at least one of those characters is playing a role in this, and not only in this main miniseries issue, but also the tie-in issues that came out this week that I skimmed through. I don't know if Roddykat gave them too much of a look, but ultimately I skimmed through them, and they also do much more of a reveal of what is potentially behind this change in reality. So,
okay.
They're far less subtle than they may have been in maybe the first round of tie-in issues, but they're definitely upfront and forward-facing in the same way that this issue is about who is probably, or at least possibly, behind this change in reality. So, go into this knowing that we are not spoiling this, but if you were listening last week, you kind of have an idea of where this may be going.
But it also, like we said before, like we were talking before the show, it could also be just an example of, well, because of the fact that this character is kind of behind the scenes in the main Avengers book and in a lot of other places, but in this particular case of the main Avengers book, it just probably just stands to reason that no, they're here too in the same capacity. And may or may not have any more overt, but it sounds like from what you're saying from the tie-in books, there might be less the case than
right. I think it's much less a subtle Easter egg and more so a hint at what is actually happening.
Gotcha. Oh, and it's worth pointing out that yes, there have been tie-in issues, which have also been like one shots. There have been at least one, maybe two, that have actually tied into the main story, like directly. Like there was a Peter Parker one from a couple of weeks back that some panels were in the main book, and you saw more of it in the tie-in. Like there hasn't been a whole lot that as far as I know. Like maybe that happens a little bit more in this issue, but I think the other Hyperion book from last week may have also kind of had a tie-in. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. I have to look at that one again. I barely skimmed that, I think. So
because and I skimmed it and I was like, okay, well I see where, because I know something was referenced in the last main book, or not the last main book, the one before that with Hyperion actually. That might have tied into to that, but I don't know. Regardless, some things you can skip, some things you might not. But if you have like favorite characters, like we were fans of the Champions here, like, and there's a tie-in book from this week that unfortunately I didn't get a chance to check out. Some of that stuff might be something up your alley.
Right. It was okay. I can speak very quickly on that. It was okay. It definitely adjusts the characters to reflect the reality that they're in now, this Squadron Supreme of America reality. So, it was an okay read. But just to finish up with Heroes Reborn #4, we do have a backup story, as I mentioned earlier, with art by McGinnis and Morales. And Matt Wilson, I believe, is the colorist, that highlights one of the characters in this book, kind of ties into some stuff that happens in the first main story, but also relates to how the Avengers are trying to reassemble in this new reality. So that is where we find ourselves in the backup story. I just wanted to note, for the record and for the folks out there listening and watching, that if you are curious about the art in the first story here, this is James Stoko. I've become a fan of his. He does he's done some creator-owned independent work, but he also hit my he showed up on my radar when he did a Godzilla miniseries called Godzilla Half Century War several years back now, and it is definitely worth tracking down if you're a Godzilla fan. The art is he has a idiosyncratic art style, but it is so fun to look at. He's got a great style, so I'd recommend taking a look at his artwork. So I think Roddykat is in general agreement with that.
Yep.
And I can't recommend just like poring over some of the details he puts in, and just like kind of going panel by panel and just looking at how he decided to compose it and draw it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It is actually good stuff. It reminds me of slightly reminds me of a couple of people's art, but specifically, I can't remember. I don't know if you remember. Was it Samurai Cowboy? I think that's it. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, that was a book I remember kind of glossing over.
That's not Jeff Darrow, is it?
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Oh, that's not it. No, maybe that's not it. Because I'm seeing a Samurai Cowboy, and that is totally not the
Shaolin Cowboy.
Shaolin Cowboy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jeff Darrow.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying?
I do. I mean, I've seen Jeff Darrow do. His style is. I see the similarities, or at least in some of the actual art, but not necessarily the style. But I definitely see where you're getting it from.
Yeah, but regardless, some good stuff from James Stoko. So that being said, if we've gone through that one,
sure.
Do you want to?
We love comic books. Turn. Tell us the comics that we should review. Seriously, once we do with our first comic, we should just let the
Kiladelphia 13.
All right, the Streets of Kiladelphia. Shout out to Bruce Springsteen. This book is written by Rodney Barnes with art by Jason Sean Alexander, with the backup story with art by Chris Mitten, colors by Luis Nicht, and letters by Marshall Dillon. So for anyone who is reading this story, this is now the third. This is the third arc in Kiladelphia, and boy, is the action picking up with the introduction of yet another part of early American history. If you are a fan of Hamilton, you definitely get some of the relationships here that are touched upon in the musical. Another dead president shows up. It's not one of the dead presidents that's in Point Break. That's not in Point Break, but it's definitely not. What am I thinking of? Not Point Break. It doesn't show up on a mask, but definitely shows up on a piece of money. Let's put it that way.
I was about to say you were either talking about Point Break or dead presidents, which I don't remember them using presidential masks. So probably Point Blank.
I was thinking of Point Break, but then they didn't call themselves the dead presidents. They just called them. I forget what they called them now. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we've got lots of, whenever we've heard rappers and musicians talk about seeing dead presidents, these are the ones who are on money. And we are talking about some of them who are definitely on the money, maybe coins, but definitely money. And they are showing up in, let's say, a certain state of being. I am not spoiling anything, but if you are familiar with the idea of Kiladelphia, there's lots of vampires and werewolves involved. So, that being said, without trying to spoil everything, the Sangster family suffers a tremendous blow in this issue, although things may or may not turn out as badly as it is teased in this issue. Things are afoot with regards to Abigail Adams and her plans of vampire domination. And we get some backstory on, as I said, another dead president who has reappeared in a certain state of being. I am not going to spoil everything, but it is a treat to see history played out and recontextualized in the event that certain founding fathers had become vampires. It is just, it really is a very entertaining story, and it is just very well crafted. So, it's not for everyone. Not everyone is down with reading, some horror, some body horror, some vampirism. But if you don't mind that stuff, give Kiladelphia a try. It is definitely well crafted and a well told story.
Okay. That sounds like, yeah. I know you've been you've been kind of a fan of this book.
It's just a great premise to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they followed through on it. And I listened to, I want to say Rodney Barnes on, I don't think it was Word Balloon, but I think it was another comic podcast. And he had a really great, he really broke it down as to how Hamilton, influenced the creation of the story, and how they have followed through on the the idea of vampires having a role in the founding of the country. So
cool. But also, if you are of a certain vintage, I'm pretty sure this will impress upon you. Yeah.
exactly.
just had to pop that in there real quick, Um, but anyway, we should move on to
Wheel of Comic Books.
you was like, I'm just going to shorten it.
Turn. Tell us the comic that we should review.
I don't know which one of us. I don't know which one of us is enjoying this wheel the most, but I'm getting a kick out of it, honestly. Teen Titans Academy number 3.
All right, since we both read this, you can start.
Okay. Oops. And I will start by saying that the creative team is written by Tim Sheridan, aka Time Trip. No, I'm not gonna do that. Pencils by Rafa Sandoval, inks by Jody Tarragona, art by Max Rayner. I feel like there's a note here I should have put in here, but I didn't. Colors by Alessandro Sanchez and Alex Sinclair, and letters by Rob Lee. So, the only thing I really have to say about this one is it's kind of really, because I kind of skimmed this more than actually read it, but it's weird reading this knowing what happens in Future State, because it starts off and they're like wondering who. Oh wait, what am I doing? Sorry.
Are you going to your notes?
Well, no, there's no, something else. Oh no, where the heck did I put this stupid thing? God dang it. No, there was a that's weird. Oh, the covers are not wanting to change like I want them to change. But anyway, it's kind of weird reading this after, and I've said this with anything that has any tie to Future State, because it starts off they're like, this is before whatever event happened, which if you've read Future State, this Teen Titans Future State book, you kind of already know what happened. So knowing, and they're still asking, and they're asking questions like, who is this person? Like, who's Red X and this and that and the other? And we don't want to put these kids in the war, but they're war, we're sending these kids to war and blah, 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 this and that and the other. But like I said, Future State has already happened, so you kind of already know the stuff. So it's kind of weird to kind of come back and be like, hey, this is leading up to that, presumably.
Right.
It's not even presumable, but it is.
Everything that happened in Future State, but I know what you're talking about.
Right. Because you definitely get to the answer of who is Red X definitely comes out there. And I think I've read that particular issue fairly recently. So it's like, okay, yeah, all right. That's still kind of weird. But in this case, we have an appearance by the Suicide Squad, which apparently there's also a crossover with recent interviews of Suicide Squad. Probably somewhat, not surprisingly, there's a Suicide Squad movie, and the characters that show up are going to be, with the exception of one. Actually, wait, in the exception of a couple, now that I think about it.
No, I was about to say, with the exception of a few, because I think one of the main, the lead of this mission,
yes,
is definitely showing up in the movie.
Yes, and the other couple that are with him are definitely not, or that we know of, are not showing up in the. We want to know one specifically is definitely not showing up in that movie.
Or definitely two, I think.
Yeah.
because one of them is a character from, let's say, the Superman books, and one of them is a character from the Batman books.
Yep. There you go. So yeah, so they definitely wanted to be like, hey, Suicide Squad, and I don't know what's going on in the Suicide Squad book now, but I do know that those characters are in there, and I can't say that I have enough care to, want to read it, even though I know, like I am kind of curious as the one Superman character, like why did they get tossed into that mix? Especially with their background of not wanting to be subjugated, like kind of like they are, which, lack of a better word, it's not subjugation, but they're kind of being drafted, I guess.
Right.
But regardless, so yeah, Suicide Squad kind of invades the school, and there's a tumble between them and the students. For reasons I'm still not sure, because like I said, I've kind of skimmed this. But also there's some behind the scenes bickering between Peacemaker and Waller, who's who's got them on a leash. I don't know if you have anything else to kind of to go on with this, but that's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, about this book.
All right. Well, there's a couple of things that that Roddykat touched on. There's supposed to be an agent, a double agent that's in the Teen Titans Academy. That's explored a little bit further. That is beholden to Amanda Waller. There's also the fact that there is a character that I'm not that familiar with, that what is her name? But she's essentially the daughter of Lobo, and they basically take her off the board in the Teen Titans book in this issue, and tease that she's going to be showing up in a book with Lobo in the near future.
That is correct. Yeah, that book was announced.
Right, that's Crush, right?
Yes.
And her adventures are with Lobo are going to be Crush and Lobo #1, coming up in June, so very soon. So coming right out of this book, really, they're going to be taking Crush on, and that's teased during the book, that Crush is being called by the main man himself, not Rocket Raccoon, but Lobo.
Yes. Also there was one other thing I did remember, because I think there is definitely, speaking of Future State, because I think there are like shades of Future State, which again we kind of already know already about it, that get brought up in the midst of this book by Raven. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm still not. Maybe I should have paid closer attention to Future State. Yeah, a lot of that stuff was a little bit of in one ear and out the other. So I'm kind of approaching this with as clean a slate well, maybe not the cleanest of slates, but a clean as slate as possible. Given that I probably did, I definitely read the Titans issues of Future State and probably promptly forgot them.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I kind of read the last issue of that like recently, that's the only reason why that even got brought up for me.
Sure.
So I mean, outside of this, like I'm also reading like the next Batman book, and that is also the same thing is going on there. It's like
right.
Like we already know what it's going to be. We're just kind of getting the backstory, getting up to that. And the only thing I guess you can know about this one, like there is a focus on a particular character, and because we, as Agent 7 kind of said, like there is another agent. There is another thing that's going on that may or may not have anything to do with Future State. In that one of the students, or maybe a couple of the students, have outside deals going on.
Right.
And the focus is on one of them, who is a young speed. In this case, is a speedster who can only access the speed force in spurts, but also does not have the use of her legs.
Right.
Which is an interesting premise. And we get a little bit of backstory on her. A little bit more backstory on her in this issue, because we did get a little piece last issue, but
right. We see how she's tied in with Amanda Waller. So
exactly. So that's it. Like I said, I'm not sure. Everything tied to Future State at this point, and that still has either an ongoing book or a book after the fact. It's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like Heroes Reborn in that case, because it's like, okay, we're getting the event before what started it, which I know we talked about before, so we don't necessarily have to go back through that and that. But I think this was I think they meant to do this, like with this Teen Titans book and with the next Batman book, like they kind of, and that I guess that Gotham book that also came out last week or whatever the case might be.
Sure.
Like hey, this is stuff that's tied to Future State, but we already seen, the stuff that it's going to be.
Well, it's similar to the main Batman book.
Right.
So, all right. So. Well, anyway, in any event,
what's next?
Wheel of Comic Books. Turn. Tell us the comics that we should review.
Oh wait, what happened? That was weird. Huh. New Mutants number 18. I didn't get a chance to read this. That's all you know.
Okay. Well, I won't spoil too much. But the creative team on this, the book is written by Vita Ayala with art by Rod Rice. Letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So this is a book that centers upon Sean Koyman and her history with a relative who she's been bonded with. I had forgotten a lot about this story. It does go all the way back to her origin story and her first appearance in Marvel Team Up, believe it or not. I remember parts of this story, parts of her character being developed there before she got to New Mutants. And we get a little bit of a background, and we also see how this plays into the Crucible, what is now the tradition of the Crucible on Krakoa, and how that plays into what Xian wants to do. Danny is helping her on this quest, and as a side story thread that is continuing to move forward in New Mutants, Scout seeks out counsel from, of all people, Warpath, to figure out how she should best confront the other younger New Mutants, the younger generation of mutants who seem to have fallen under the sway of the Shadow King. And she is looking for advice on how to deal with that. I won't spoil what is discussed really, but that is the in the broadest strokes, the gist of this issue. It's interesting. It definitely moves several character stories forward.
Gotcha. So
And
yeah,
shout out, I was about to say, and shout out to my New Mutants display that's on my shelf behind me. So you can check that out on Instagram at agent_70 on Instagram.
yeah.
Is Cypher, Doug Ramsey, and Magma in Marvel Legends form.
Right. Which I'm sure they're watching this and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get right on that.
Sure. Although to make you happy, they've announced the Tigra.
Oh, we did just talk about that.
We didn't mention Tigra though.
No,
we talked about.
I mean, no, I'm saying, but we had talked about it before. We had mentioned
right.
what,
They
like, why
just
not?
announced. My understanding is that they just announced the Tigra Marvel Legend.
Oh, nice.
I have to check that announcement.
Yay! One more step closer to the OG wackos. Not to say that you'll see a display from me about that, but you know, hey,
it wouldn't be her first Marvel Legend. She did have a previous one, but this would be, I think, it was announced for the new style.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Question that speaking of going back to Shan's early days with the Marvel Team Up, because I know we did do we did talk about the New Mutants graphic novel in the archive. And by the way, folks, you can still go back in the archive and check that out, because we did a show on the New Mutants graphic novel and Demon Bear, which was before the movie actually came out, which is
right
dealing with Demon Bear, which I still haven't seen the movie yet. But I'm asking that because did we mention it? I feel like we may or may not, we may have mentioned the fact that that Shan came from the Marvel Team Up, and because I feel like that might have come up during the course of that graphic novel.
I think we mentioned it.
Yeah, I was curious about that. So okay, cool. But yeah, check, folks. Go back and check that out in the archives. Maybe there may or may not be a link to that in the show notes. We'll see. But next up, I believe that's me. I think we'll do one more maybe, and then we'll wrap it.
Spin the wheel.
Sure. X-Men number 20. Also didn't read.
Oh no, it's me again. All right. So X-Men number 20. Let me pull this up very quickly.
Did you say the creative? Oh, you did say the creative team of New Mutants. So
yeah, it's a short one because Rod Rice does everything.
Okay. Yeah.
He does the art, so he does the coloring also. So X-Men number 20 is an important issue. So it's written by Jonathan Hickman with art by Francesco Mobili, colors by Sonny Go, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowell. So in this issue, we get a little bit of a tie-in to some of the Hawks Pox things that are going on, that went on in the miniseries and seem to be playing out in the Reign of X era of the book. Finally. Where what's that?
Finally.
Right. So without spoiling too much, it involves Nimrod, who is on the cover, right? And also involves one of the underlying plot threads that has been slowly progressing through the stories from Hawkspox going forward, which is the story of Destiny, Mystique's wife, who has not yet been resurrected because of reasons.
Yes. And
reasons being that she's a precog. She's a precognitive mutant, and that is her gift. And that was a seed that was planted by Hickman way back when, and it is slowly coming to sprout. So
right. She could basically put the kibosh on everything that's going on right now.
Right, exactly, quite possibly. So ultimately, we're starting to get to see that story develop, and part of that story involved what happens in this issue with Mystique on a mission that involves Nimrod, and I won't spoil it because I know Roddykat's going to read it, but it is, I think, a very important issue moving forward. And bear in mind that this run of X-Men is about to end because of the Hellfire Gala. As soon as the gala ends, we're getting the new team of X-Men in a new title.
Yep.
And it's not a new title; it's a new X-Men volume, and
Right.
it's going to be written by Jerry Duggan. So, you know, while do you have in the news Hickman's new title?
No, I do not. I can probably find it.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I'll jibber jabber for a minute or two while you look for it. But Hickman does have the title for that the previously unannounced X book that he was working on post his run on the X-Men titled book. It has been revealed. So just wanted to let everyone know that if you wanted to see some of the things come to fruition that were in Hoxpox, pick this book up. I definitely recommend it. It makes, I think, a lot of things make sense that we may not have quite understood back then. Now that we're seeing the story move forward, it's going to prove to be interesting. It's, I think, a well executed story. There are some great emotional beats with Mystique, so it is definitely a potential click of the week for me. So
it is okay. So I did see something about this, and I was like, I thought they were just bringing it back as an event. Apparently, it's called Inferno.
correct, and I think it's definitely in the vein of Heroes Reborn, which is, it has nothing to do with how the previous event was laid out or what the story was. It's just a way of repurposing the title.
Right. So wait. So
because I don't think we're going to get Nastier. We're not going to get Belasco. We're not going to get, the Goblin Queen.
right.
But it's going to be something else that is fire related.
Right.
So that's how I see things play out. Oh, by the way, I did want to say that New Mutants number 18 is also a potential click of the week for me. I enjoyed it.
Right. So I do know. I was gonna say that. Well, one also, X-Men is not the only book that is kind of ending, quote unquote, at least. But X-Men is actually coming back, like you said, is under another volume. I'm not sure about X Factor because I believe I believe this last issue of X Factor was the last issue of X Factor going into the.
There's one more.
There's one more going into. Okay, yeah. So there's one more going into the Hellfire Gala.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hellfire Gala starts next week. All of the June X books are going to be Hellfire Gala stuff. So as soon as we get our books for next week, we're going to be neck deep in Hellfire Gala stuff.
Mm-hmm. So while we're here, and shout out to Tim for this article. While we're here, see, Jonathan Hickman's launched a new X-Men title this fall. It says Jonathan Ryder Hickman is launching a new X-Men series this fall with artwork teasing its title, including the word Inferno. So I'm not sure if that's actually the name of the book. And I'm assuming this Krakoan text may or may not have or it's probably spelling out Inferno, but like, who am I kidding? But it says here, the biggest mysteries of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men era burn away in Inferno. Okay, good. Maybe that is it. The text reads from Marvel's press release. Inferno and the art underneath it includes images of Professor Charles Xavier, Magneto, Mystique, and Moira McTaggart, who all may play a major role in the newest installment in the X-Men's Reign of X initiative. I'm going to say probably not may, because if you've read Hoxpox, you know that they are definitely the major figures. Like Mystique aside, but Mystique is probably the wild card in that one because of, because of Destiny and her relation to Destiny. So, but definitely a major figure in her own right, probably going into this. But it also says here in this article, aside from knowing that Inferno will deal with many mysteries introduced during Hickman's tenure on the X-Men franchise, today's release of X-Men 20 offers some clue as to what this new series involves. So there you go. And Agent 7 is already kind of going on, so there's no need to actually rehash this because it's kind of looks like it's going kind of rehashing some of the stuff that is in X-Men 20. So yeah, there you go. That is the news of that. So don't think. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out X-Men 20. I'm actually kind of sort of ready to check out the Hellfire Gala, even though I'm not entirely sure. Like okay, I know there's supposed to be like a either there's supposed to be a mystery. There's kind of some big world, revelation, or at least as far as the Krakoan's dealings in the rest of the world is supposed to come out in this. And I know it's supposed to be like you know, dignitaries from all over the place, like Avengers or whatever the case may be. So there's going to be some stuff going on, likely,
Right.
in and around the gala. But yeah, it's finally here after this all, not necessarily a big dust up, but I mean, talking about it this much, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that being the case, unless you got something else on X-Men 20.
Nope. We can go into rapid fire because we got a lot of books to talk about. So
Yeah, and there we go. Rapid fire.
rapid fire, because we ain't got time to bleed. I should just pull that sound clip.
Do what? Oh, we ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to go. Wait, how many books you got left? Because I know most of the books we've read are similar.
Right, we can just go through. I was about to say, one of us just start, and then we'll pick up whatever is left.
Yeah, I'll start. You've been the one.
Okay.
You've been the one talking. Wait, so I'm going to, and I'm trying to type at the same time, so there's going to be a little bit of a pickle. But as you can see on the screen, Black Widow number 7 is what I'm starting off with. Oh wait, that's yours. Zip. There we go. So, writer Kelly Thompson, pencils by Elena Casagrande, inks by is that inks or lettering? I can't remember. I'm gonna say inks by Elena Casagrande and Elisabetta D'Amico. Color artist Jolie Belair. Letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So Natasha and Yelena argue over what to do with this kid that they just rescue from this place. And this kid's special. She's got talent, and plus she's got some powers apparently. That I'm going to assume she's got powers naturally that Widow has in weaponry, because that's what it kind of looked like. But also coincidentally, the kid's name is named after a penis character, and 2, a movie that Scarlett Johansson, who also played Black Widow, played the title character of.
Right.
Coincidence? Probably not. But also they end up fighting a bad guy who badly copied Mr. Fantastic. May or may not be a clone based on what happened to it.
Right.
So I don't know if you have anything else to go on that.
I would just add that there is a guest appearance by an actual member of the Spider-Verse.
Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot about Anya.
That is an interesting, right? That is an interesting little guest appearance here.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Putting to use that character.
Right. And apparently the title going into the next
which one called? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say the title going into the next issue are called Spider Ladies. Or it was
right. Definitely a play on something this character mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And the whatchamacallit, the Gumby guy, the Gumby character that they reference here, the definitely not Mr. Fantastic, but definitely in that vein. I'm trying to remember, some of the art seemed vaguely familiar, the way they depicted this particular character getting punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
This series is proven to be pretty entertaining. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, same here. Especially after that first arc where, it starts off somewhere and then just kind of wipes the board on some of it, but keeps it. But now it's like, hey, she's still in the same place, and even still having, shades of her former life at that point.
Yeah, flashbacks. Yes, definite flashbacks.
So it's like, huh?
She's still coping with what happened earlier in the series.
Exactly.
We are only in issue 7, so we've only gotten through one arc, really. This is only the beginning. Issue 6 was the beginning of the second arc, so for the first 5 are essentially that first story. So if you're looking to catch up, you can jump on now, and hopefully you can get on the trade paperback wagon or Marvel Unlimited.
Indeed, yeah, it's good, and we know Black Widow, the movie is coming out soon, and there are a couple of, well, obviously, there's Black Widow and the Yelena are both going to be in it, so that is
Right.
also why this book is kind of focused on those two characters, or on her being with Natasha.
Right, being in
Specifically.
more of a buddy cop type role.
Exactly. Which is also a good dynamic for them too, as opposed to their former dealings. But anyway, next up, Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 26. Written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Carmen Carnero, color artist David Curiel, letters by VC's Corey Pettit. So, despite the name of that one clone, which apparently does actually may possibly actually mean something in another language that this book addresses, it's still
I was about to say, I think we can trust Saladin Ahmed to
Yes.
come up with the right with the proper use of it. So
right, but it's still a dumb name in the fact that it's just the reverse of Miles's name. So
I think it's a happy coincidence, to be
yes,
honest.
that's what I was about to say. So it just so happened to be a coincidence that was the case. I'm like, all right, so which is why I'm going to say that despite that, and maybe even because of that, like so far, Miles's version of Clone Saga is actually pretty good, judging by this and the last issue. I think there was only the same thing. It was like, yeah, but all the pretty much main thing is like, yeah. So he meets up with with these three clones, has a fight, kind of loses. Peter kind of steps in and kind of helps him out a little bit, and then rightfully so, Miles is like, I gotta find these people. We gotta find out. I'll hunt all night, but Peter kind of talks him down and it's like, yeah, we gotta, you got other things you gotta do, and it's big, just city's big, and he still hasn't really gone into the fact that he kind of glosses over the fact that, hey, I've had dealings with clones before, but not really got going into it.
What I was gonna say is that their respective clone sagas are playing out very differently.
Correct.
Right. And there's the important thing here to bear in mind is that the driving force behind Peter Parker's clone saga was the Jackal, whereas here it definitely seems like, at least at this point in the clone saga, the clone himself, the clones themselves, seem to be the driving force behind their story, as opposed to the person who created the clones.
Right. Although I feel like that's probably going to come into play.
Exactly. Like I said, that's why I said at this point in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the main difference. And I think that Miles's impetuousness of being young and still not necessarily heeding some of the advice that some of the older, more polished, more experienced heroes, and this is something that is kind of become, and this is new for the Marvel universe, because I've said it before, it's a new thing in Marvel to have legacy heroes. So now we actually have this next generation of heroes kind of learning things with a mix of the hard way and with the mix of taking some of the lessons to heart from the previous generation. So in this case, we get a little bit of Miles taking Peter's advice, but then not taking it wholly, and not taking it completely, not completely taking all of the advice. Let's put it that way.
Right. Lastly, I will say that, so I know there's a part of this issue that was like, hey, you're all alone, I got my brothers, you don't have nobody, and then this is when Peter kind of steps in, which actually reminded me of, like, I do kind of sort of like Peter and Miles's dynamic, because they have kind of almost become more like brothers. I mean, obviously they have similar powers, and granted from different places, from similar but different places, and manifest in different ways in certain aspects, but they've kind of come to have some sort of bond understanding.
Well, like I said, now we have a true legacy hero.
Right.
You actually have like someone who is, walking in their footsteps, but they still have the benefit of having them available for advice and consultation.
Right, and maybe it might be something that might have borne out from the Spider-Man miniseries a little bit more, because neither one of them I actually ever read. Because I know,
Okay.
so maybe more of that was kind of already set up there, but because I haven't read those and I'm seeing it was reminded to me in this issue that that it put me in that frame. But
right,
anyway.
I mean, it started there, but also it plays out in Spider-Verse.
Correct.
Spider-Geddon, all that stuff where they really have had to work together. And Miles being the character that he is now, playing much more of a starring role as opposed to a supporting role.
Right.
So we have, at least in this issue, it's a good deviation from the way Peter's Clone Saga played out. That's why I had a good time reading this, because it didn't have the same beats.
Indeed. Next up, though, Beta Ray Build number 3, I believe we also read.
Yep.
Boy, I got some typos in this, but anyway, written and art by Daniel. That's I before E. Except C. Daniel Warren Johnson, color artist Mike Spicer, letters by VC's Joe Sabino with Daniel Warren Johnson apparently. So Bill and crew try to get used to Scuttlebutt's new form while journeying and fighting through Muspelheim. Bill and Scuttlebutt try to bond, I guess, over this new form.
Well, they try to come to they try to deal together with Scuttlebutt's new status quo,
right,
which is definitely different from what Bill is used to.
Right. Thank Jocasta. Hopefully it doesn't turn out in the same way.
Think Cerebro.
Well, sure. I guess Danger was a
Yes, Danger, exactly.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing. That's true. Yeah, either way, but regardless, you have a couple of touchstones on that. Yeah. So here's the question. So the part where Bill and Scuttlebutt is playing table tennis, did you think, wow, so is Bill actually playing Pong? I mean, I know there's not like this is the analog version of, but like, because he's playing against a computer, is he playing Pong or is he,
No, I think it's actual ping pong.
I know it is, but I'm just saying, like he's technically playing with this ship's computer, who has manifested into a physical form, because of what's going on in this book, but it's still like he's playing against a computer. Anyway, never mind. That's just a dumb joke by me. Anyway, but in other words, I don't know if you caught that, but it feels like while they were going through the Scuttlebutt was kind of said something foreboding before she gives Bill his new weapon, which I guess is kind of like Yarnborn in a sense, but like a more technological version, I guess.
Right.
Which Bill promptly uses along with Scourge and Pip, as they're running through this place to get to Cthulhu Land or whatever the hell the end of that last page was.
Right. You hit the nail on the head with that, because there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on. First, as Scuttlebutt is making making its way into Muspelheim, because of Scuttlebutt's transformation, there are new capabilities that Scuttlebutt is exploring here in this issue, and it's just rendered in a very cool way. Right. And if you thought that James Stoko's art was cool and inventive and idiosyncratic, those same words can be used to describe Daniel Warren Johnson's work in this book as well. They're kind of cut from the same cloth, where you can definitely see where their attention to detail is definitely not lacking. And while I think Stoko's backgrounds are just a little crazier, you can definitely see where they are, as I said, cut from the same cloth. I think that what Warren Johnson is doing with Scourge is kind of fun. It's still very one note, but it's still the note that we're familiar with.
Also,
and
very
MCU. Plays on character definitely plays on the characterization from Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm. And kind of going off of what you were saying about the transformation, it is definitely something which was a nice touch that they kind of they've kind of linked it to the fact that, well, yeah, they've been around Thor and in Asgard, and the science and magic kind of, kind of been a part of their dealings so much that it kind of sort of still makes sense that, oh yeah, sure, you go into this room, they went into this realm. Although I don't know, it still feels kind of weird, but it kind of makes sense to the fact that, hey, yeah, they're journeying through multiple time, and it was because of that. It's because Scuttlebutt kind of had this transformation, but they've been dealing with Thor, and I mean, Thor and Asgard, and therefore the science and magic aspect therein,
Right.
which makes it kind of make more sense.
But it's still cool because it's like a transformer,
right?
So
they even do they even spell out like transform into one big panel where that happens, or page.
Right. What am I thinking of? Well, it's kind of like the helicarrier. It's also kind of like a Gundam, isn't it? Is it like a Gundam thing where they have something like that transforms like that?
More like Robotech.
Robotech. Thank you. Look, my anime blind spot is still large, folks. I'm still working on it. Robotech is on my list, but Robotech is long and it is on the old side, so it's kind of antiquated.
Yes.
But I do plan on taking a look at some of it.
And depending on which dub you're in for, it's going to be a slog.
Right. So, but I'm working on some shorter things now, namely Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer. Nice. So,
but anyway,
those two I am kind of alternating.
Yeah.
But getting back to this book though, as Roddykat mentioned, there's some funky visuals on that last cliffhanger page. It's like, whoa, okay, what is that? I almost can hear Shuri yelling out, "What are those?" Like, what is that?
Pretty much. Because I even took that take.
Fun reading this. Yeah, it was definitely fun reading this, and I think this series has picked up. It definitely picked up in terms of its fun quotient.
Indeed.
Obviously it starts kind of on a downer with Bill and where he is in life and how he's feeling, given the destruction of his version of Stormbreaker. So it's we'll see. This is all a quest to have a new weapon forged for Bill. We'll see how that plays out over the next. It's supposed to be 5 issues, I think.
I believe so. Yes.
So we have 2 issues to find out.
Yeah, and despite what the cover looks like, none of that happens.
Right. But, although that is a very interesting visual.
Yes, indeed, because especially with what goes on in this book, it's kind of there is something that's being rebuilt, or someone and something, I guess. So there's a couple of things that's being rebuilt in the course of the series, as we can see, and this cover is definitely evocative of that. Next up, speaking of Shuri, actually, Black Panther number 25. This is the last issue for this run, and therein Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on the Black Panther. And it goes a little something like this. So the creative team is written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, art by Daniel Acuna and Brian Stelfreeze, which I could not tell, which I guess was a good thing. I guess I could. I know you can tell. No, you can't tell. Yeah, you could not just remember.
Tell at the end.
I know. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah. I was about to say I couldn't remember where it came in and where it did not, but no, I absolutely do know where that happened. So it was good to see Stelfreeze back on the book.
Exactly. I was about to say Stelfreeze kind of does like the epilogue section of the story.
Like I had to jog that. But anyway, colors by Daniel Acuna and Laura Martin, letters by VC's Joe Sabino. And it's all come down to this. This is one big battle. One would say it might be Lord of the Rings in scope. Some would say. Some may have said on previous episodes of this show.
Right. Well, there's elements of Endgame and Lord of the Rings on this. So
absolutely. So we get the big fight, and so the only thing I think we've had an issue, and we've talked about this a little bit before the show, was that one, because this was coming out monthly, and two, there was some stuff that kind of was coming into play and out of play that wasn't sure what the end goal was there in specifically where Bast is concerned. and
Right. Well, what
Zenzi.
Roddykat was getting at is that this book has suffered from delays. Some
That too.
pandemic related, some maybe not, but it could be art stuff, especially given the fact that it seems like Acuna does the bulk of the story, but then the epilogue part, as I said, is done by Brian Stelfreeze.
Right.
So ultimately, what we were talking about was that it's kind of hard to figure out why some characters are doing what they're doing.
Right, but also, I don't want to say suffer because that's not the wrong, but it kind of lingered in the initial Star Wars-esque intergalactic story. It kind of lingered there a little long.
Oh, I
And
mean, that's another. I was about to say, when I say suffered from the pandemic delays, that's one
Sure.
thing. But I think, I think what Roddykat is mentioning, I think definitely holds water as well, because the part in the was it the Wakandan Empire, the Wakandan, what did they call it? The Wakandan Empire, Wakandan Space Empire,
the intergalactic empire of
that
Wakanda.
intergalactic planetary intergalactic Wakandan Empire. That part of the story, I think, in my opinion, and I think maybe Roddykat concurs, I think that part of the story lingered just a little too long and threw off a lot of
Forward motion
readers. No, I was going to say a lot of readers who were trying to follow along and lost a little bit of track and lost track of where the story was ultimately going to go. But getting back to the way this story ends, we are at the climax of the big battle, and we do see that. But as I said, when I say suffered, I think it's because I've lost track of what some of these characters are trying to do or what their purposes are.
Right.
And I think that's where the long gaps in the story and not really remembering a lot of what was happening in space really is to my detriment in trying to enjoy the story.
Right. And yeah, don't get me wrong, like I said, even despite saying that, or at least for my part of this, like I still enjoyed the whole thing. It's just that, yeah, like you just said, it did kind of linger too long in the space stuff. And I was, and I think I even said then, like, you know what, sometimes it's not about getting to the end of the line with stories like this. It's about enjoying the journey. To an extent that happened, but it still, there are cases like we've been talking about with Amazing Spider-Man kind of going just a little longer than it probably should. Doesn't mean you can't still enjoy it. It's just, but it does mean that it's like, okay, we get what's going on here, and
I mean, part of it is that if this is the only book you're reading, you know exactly what's going on. But we read a lot of books.
There is that also.
It's hard to keep track if you're not keeping, if you're not helping us focus our attention, month to month, or at least story to story, issue to issue.
But even if this was the only book you were reading, it was still kind of because of the delays and because of the lingering and because of the way this was coming out. It's I would imagine it's still probably kind of hard to kind of keep up with, and which is where I said the forward motion kind of got stopped, because I'm almost fairly certain there are some people who probably stopped reading this book during the course of the space stuff, because
I'm pretty sure as well.
Kind of long.
I'm pretty sure as well. At least from anecdotal evidence, I'm pretty sure that happened as well.
Right. So that being said, though, but if you stuck it out, you got it pretty much of a treat. But at the same time, like Agent 70 said, like, well, yeah, there's things and people that come back into play, and it's like, where's their motivations going under just to end up like this? And like, it's kind of confusing on that point. But that being said, like I said, I would imagine this might read better. The whole thing might be reread better if in trade
as a collection. Oh, absolutely.
But I feel like it was still dragging on.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if I might revisit it just to see if it makes better sense to me the second go around.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing. And there's also a character that came up that's like, I have no idea where this character came from.
Yes,
at all.
Right at the end.
If we're talking about the same one, I don't know if we're talking about the same one, but
even if we're not, that means we had similar experiences.
Yeah. So, but it goes from the battle and goes to the aftermath of it, and presumably where the next volume of Black Panther could go, because we do know there is a new volume coming with John Ridley at the helm, writing it, and a new creative team. So I don't know if they're going to take up what's come out of this or just going to go through a whole new thing. But we did definitely get an epilogue from this to what ends up, going forward into the Marvel universe at large, or even in this corner of the Marvel universe, which is definitely some interesting aspects to it, because we said the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, and that definitely does make the stakes for make the things for Wakanda that much bigger in scope, as
Right.
it already, as opposed to what it already was. So, but I did like this the way it ended. I did like you seeing the aftermath, the kind of as in another kind of in game thing. It was like you kind of see where pretty much everybody is at this point, and uh, you know where there are. So that's kind of good. And I kind of like to see a little bit more of that, but I know we probably won't. Like we see some characters in various parts of Wakanda doing things, and it was cool to see. But that being said, we're supposed to be rapid fire. So let me get back on track and say Robin #2 is the next book. And I believe you also read this.
Yes.
Written by Joshua Williamson, art and cover by Gleb Melnikov, and colors by Luis Guerrera, I guess. I think I might have typoed that one.
Hold on, let me see. Robin. Colors by Luis Guerrero.
Okay, so I was right.
Letters by ALW's Troy Pateri, which made me laugh because there's another company
I know,
in
right?
addition to Visual Comic Craft.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I totally forgot about it. And I started thinking ANW, like the root beer. But so anyway, but at the events,
I thought you were gonna say AEW, the wrestling company. Oh no.
No, you know good and well I wouldn't go there. You know good and well I wouldn't go there. But after last issue, and Damian receives the business end of an MK fatality.
Exactly. At the end of last issue, we have a pretty dramatic cliffhanger.
Right. But going into this one, which is kind of funny because the same thing I said before I even read that part, Damian wakes up and gets hipped onto the place where this tournament that he has been invited to is being held, as if the name wasn't obvious enough as to what was going on. But he had that told to him. So he's on, I think, what is it called? Lazarus Island, I believe it's called.
Correct.
So if you know anything of DC history and anything about the Lazarus pits, it just definitely has something to do with this. But there's caveats to that, apparently, because of this tournament. This is kind of almost a Mortal Kombat tournament, but with, well, the story of Mortal Kombat is kind of stupid and crazy anyway. So it could go some of the same lines, and you would not blink an eye about it probably. But starting to know, because so last issue, Damian kind of went in half cocked and got himself killed, and then the Ravager's there to kind of tell him what's going on with the thing, since he was dead when the rules were being explained. And Damian, being the little snit that he is, just kind of all right, I'm leveling the playing field and just getting everybody, and then so I guess mostly everybody's on the same page as far as the number of deaths you can get during this tournament, because apparently it's like 3 strikes and you're out actually, and your soul has to stay on this island. Again, Mortal Kombat, type. But you can leave before that, if, after your first, after you take your first L. So I'm very curious, and I think this is supposed to be an ongoing. So I'm very curious as to where this is going to go for Damian. Not just in this arc, but after this arc goes on, because this is kind of coming after he was like, I quit you, Dad, and I'm not going to be a Robin anymore. But apparently they're still calling him that in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And also there are some other characters that are pretty much brand new to this that have some very, speaking of video game ass names.
Yes.
Character names and bios apparently. So I was like, all right, including a Deathstroke knockoff, which Ravager's already there, but I'm not saying she's a knockoff. I'm just saying they pretty much red tooled us. If you know they pretty much red tooled Deathstroke. I don't know if it's the same character. I doubt it, but it is what it is. So yeah, it's
you actually get the cameo. In the caption you have Ravager making the description, and
yes.
it's very there's very much an in joke.
Yes.
in her description, so that's there. And also, one character who is uh, uh, introduced or reintroduced in this issue, who makes a cameo appearance in the first issue just based on appearances alone,
Right.
but is made much more, whose introduction is made much more clearly in this issue, without spoiling too much. It is another prodigy, another protege, not prodigy, but
Right.
could be prodigy, but protege of one Oliver Queen.
Yes. And
So
yeah,
that character is here as part of the tournament.
right. And that was, now actually, if you don't pay attention to the news cycle, you know that that was a thing that they've kind of talked about in the news cycle leading up to this book coming out. So,
But they make a point of not pointing out other than a quick image of him in the first issue, but here they actually say, boom,
Right.
here is a contender.
right,
in
but they
this
also make
tournament.
it, but they also make it sound like that he's pretty much the main rival. And maybe because maybe he is, and maybe that's not the case. Maybe, but they may kind of play it out to where like this is going to be the big thing, and it's probably going to be the big first fight, which it kind of sort of wasn't. But nevertheless, yeah, they are, like Seven said. There's like, hey, here is the character, big and bold now. So, and we are definitely going to see what's going to happen with the. So Joshua Williams, if I'm not mistaken, is the one that just finished up on Flash, correct?
I think so.
So I would expect, if like Flash, this arc may possibly go a little bit longer than 5 or 6 issues. I don't know that much, but I feel like he's going to try to do something with it, and we'll see. Like I'm still on board with this book right now. So far, the premises, as far as the tournament is concerned, is kind of still got me interested. Put it that way.
It's fun. I like how it's written. I'm going to be keeping up with it as well. I wanted to ask you real quick before we moved on, what manga are they referencing?
That's a good question. Because I did notice that, and I thought that was something that somebody he met that just did their own drawings or whatnot, or manga, but I'm not entirely sure. I
think it's supposed to be a reference to an actual manga. I think
I have to go back and check that out, because I did, like I said, I did notice that, but I wasn't too sure about what it was. Because there's manga and anime kind of have similar names, or it could have been just, so the names that kind of got brought up could have been from, or the things that kind of got brought up could have been from any anime, or any manga.
Exactly.
At this point, especially specific types of anime. So I don't know. I'll look into that. But it definitely feels like something I've seen before. I just don't really place it. But anyway, next up, let's see. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin #3. So, as I get the thing here, bloop, there we go. So this is a miniseries. If the title alone doesn't tell you anything, then I don't know what to tell you. But it's been coming out every 2 months on purpose. For what reason, we still don't know. And that's kind of a shame.
It's probably the art.
There is a lot going on in this book, and there's a lot of pages also. So yeah, that is quite possibly the case. I
would rather that it come out every 2 months than every however many months. You
mean like a Watchmen
coming out regularly?
I mean, you're right, but at the same time, it's already hard, especially for us, but not for people who are just like, I know at least one person who's reading this as one of the only other main books that they've been reading, and they've been excited for it to read this. But the fact for them it's coming out every 2 months is kind of a bummer, But even for us who read a lot of books, it's kind of hard to keep track of what's going on with it because of the fact that it's coming out every 2 months.
Right. That's the other side of the coin.
So that being said, though, luckily I read issue 2, like the day before this, because I don't remember if I had read it at the time. I know I didn't. I know when we talked about it, I hadn't read it. I don't think either one of us had. Now that I think about it. But regardless, let me go ahead and get to the creative team. Story by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. Script by Tom Waltz and Kevin Laird. Kevin Eastman, excuse me. Layouts by Kevin Eastman, pencils, inks by Isao and Isaac Escorza, colors by Luis Antonio Delgado, and letters by Sean Lee, and edits by Bobby Kurnow. So we basically, a couple of things that happen. So spoiler alert, I'm just going to spoil this right now. The Last Ronin means there's one turtle left, and this is kind of, it must be in a future time. I'm still not going to spoil which turtle it is that is the last one left. It's not the one you would expect.
Which is kind of a spoiler in that, in a sense, but
yes,
ultimately, this issue fills in a lot of the blanks that we have been dealing with up to now in reading this.
Right.
Where in the first two issues we see what has happened in the future, but this issue really does an excellent job of filling in several of the blanks as to how we got to where we found this last Ronin turtle at the beginning of the series.
Right. There is an event that happens that we got shades of in the last issue, but didn't get any actual info on. That all comes out here, and what happens to another one of the turtles. Because it seems like going, from issue to issue, we find out what happened to each of the turtles outside, with the exception of the first issue. Like we've definitely found out what happened to one of the turtles last issue. We found out what happened to another one of the turtles this issue, and I will go ahead and surprise that I'm not surprised that the first one that got taken out was assuming the chronologically is set as who did what, then I'm not surprised by who the first one was that got. Put it that way. It's not surprising if you've even seen the movies, that's all you know.
I was about to say, I think it kind of tracks with the very first movie as well. So.
Yep. And apparently they replayed that storyline in a storyline or two from past years. So that's kind of funny. Either way, that being said, and there was another event that happens that, like I said, we got shades of last issue, and we get the full extent of in this issue, and what happened to a couple of characters therein, but also getting what's going on in the now, and another character that we get introduced to. No, wait, do we get introduced to this character? The daughter?
Yeah.
That was this issue?
No,
that was
the daughter we got in the first issue.
Well, we saw her in the first issue, but we didn't get anything about her until the last one.
In the second issue, we got a lot more.
Yes.
And we get a lot more here. We actually get her literal origin story here.
Yes.
And we're dealing with the daughter of one of the main side characters, let's say.
Yes, and that side character has been very busy during this whole time. In addition to,
let's say, two of the main side characters.
Yes.
And this particular side character, as Roddykat mentioned, has been very busy teaching and learning very technical things.
Right.
Oh man, talk about us not spoiling anything by dancing around the raindrops.
Right, and if you know anything, because even if we said about this character, and even if you know them from the cartoon, it's like we know them for doing a specific thing, and kind of slowly getting into some things with the turtles, but not to the extent that she does here. Oops, I just.
Right. Oh no, there's a spoiler.
Yeah, not really, because there have been a few female characters but I think this is kind of coming off of like the original stuff and not stuff that came later. So anyway,
yeah, it's not Jenica.
Right, it's not Jenica. It's not one of the other mutants. But you know what? You get the point. We ain't got to say no more. That being said, I'm still enjoying this book. Despite
I am too. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. I'm looking forward to the next one, even though it's going to be two months because I really want to see what happened to. Like we see what's happened to where this last turtle is, why the last turtle is the last turtle, but we're also probably going to see what's going to end up happening to them at the end of this, I suspect. And I believe this is only 5 issues.
I think so too.
So if you are, if you're old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans and kind of like a little gritty, you might enjoy this. Like this is kind of basically like along the lines of those Marvel at the End issues, but in miniseries form.
Exactly. This is not a surprise potential click of the week for me. I've got a bunch this week. There were a lot of good books to read this week.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that I've actually. Yeah, Beta Ray Bill was one of mine. Black Widow was also one of mine. This one for sure. That Robin also was also one of mine. So yeah, it's been some good stuff this week, and there's a lot more that we haven't even touched on that neither one of us have read that seemed like it might be some potential stuff that we just hadn't got around to, because there's a lot of books came out this week.
Yeah, we had a lot of reading to do this week, folks. All right, what's next?
Speaking of, my last book is, which I think is probably one of yours too. You might have another one more than I do. Maestro War and Packs number 5, which is the last issue of this miniseries.
I did read that too.
Spoiler alert: there's going to be another one. Apparently, this is a part of a trilogy that Peter David and
which surprised me but didn't surprise me.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me. Was it
whatever? At the end, I was just like, oh, of course it is.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me no way. I was like, yeah, sure, okay. Because even going into halfway through, and so basically the gist of it. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me get the. Do you have the creative team?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Okay.
So it's written by Peter David with art by Javier Pina and Herman Peralta, colors by Jesus Abertov, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham.
Basically, yes. So the gist of this is, hey, there's been another figure vying for the top spot in Maestro Land, and that is one Dr. Doom, and their meeting and subsequent battle is pretty much played out in the first part of this book.
But there is the little twist.
Yes,
there is a twist. The twist is, spoiler alert, they were not exactly opponents at the beginning.
That is correct.
When this character appears in this miniseries.
But even knowing that, it was inevitable that, like, of course, what was going to happen, because you kind of seen this in early issues of this, not only earlier issues of this miniseries, but early issues of these miniseries. Because you've seen Banner, aka the Maestro, kind of, act like he's he either fights this person and was like, okay, no, I don't want to fight him, and then get buddy him, or he's like, hey, let's do this thing together, and then ends up double crossing him. And it also, this all sets up, this is before Hulk Future Imperfect. So if that's not needs to be said, that should be said there. We've talked about it in past, talking about this. So this is everything leading up to there. Which means that future still technically is still set in iron, which means obviously if and I think the Wasteland stuff that we've also seen. So
yeah, I was about to say, I'm not so sure about the Wasteland stuff.
I still believe it's in the Old Man Logan universe. I still believe that.
Well, no, because whatchamacallit, and we can argue back and forth, and I'm pretty sure the Maestro that they pulled in was not from their timeline. That's, I think, where the twist comes in, I think that's where where in my mind the confusion lays. But in any event, there are a couple of cool things that pop up here in this issue. Something that I don't think we've ever seen Magneto do, but would serve to, it would seem to be something that should have happened before, but we had never quite seen it done this way.
But in a Batman-like faction, Dr. Doom probably would have been like, I've foreseen this, and therefore I'm using plastics for my armor, because I feel like that has been done before.
Right. So, but ultimately when that happened, I was like, oh, okay, that's novel.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we do have excuse me. We do have a few steps towards Future Imperfect, as we said, or as Roddykat said earlier, as well as the development of the next series, which is called Maestro World War M, coming soon.
Yes, because if that doesn't evoke any other past Hulk event, I don't know what will. So yeah, now we still, once again, I'm gonna put together out there. We still don't know to what end that any of these miniseries are coming out of, outside of the fact that it could be because it is Marvel's 80th anniversary and they just wanted to do some of this stuff,
right?
Or whether there's maybe something else that's going to come out of it that may be playing into some quote unquote present Marvel stuff that they're trying to do. Like, I feel like some of these have been done for reasons outside of not just doing just to have them done.
Well, I was gonna say they wanted to throw Peter David something.
Sure.
You know, because he probably just needed to churn out something.
But I mean, but he is, because he's doing X-Men Legends, he's doing other stuff. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
What he's doing is period specific.
Right.
He's not doing stuff that's like brand new. He's dealing with stuff that is set in a certain time. You know, he's working on stories that were told in a certain time period.
But are still actually brand new though, because you can think about the X-Men Legends stuff and this.
Right, they're based off of things that that happened back in the 90s. So.
Sure, and I know there's been something that said like, yeah, maybe this stuff that could have been like on the table back then, but just never really got done.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe had scripted or something. We don't necessarily know, but I'm still pretty much on the table of maybe this is going to lead to something outside of another miniseries in the same thing that they're going to be doing in the Marvel present, or maybe it could be, you know, like I said, or anniversary stuff, because it is Marvel's anniversary this year, so we don't know.
It's wild because, you know, this trilogy is going to be out, and if it is a 5-issue trilogy, Roddykat may be able to hold off on reading Future Perfect until the end of the year.
Yes, because I did say the last time we talked about this book that I was going to read Future Imperfect, which is only 2 issues, as Agent 7 keeps telling me. But I had intentions of doing that this year, but this before this happened, but I got
things
something happened. So, but regardless of that, so yes, Agent 70 was what, and I was actually thinking of that because I was thinking before reading this issue, like, well, that was going to be it, and there was going to be no more of these, and of course there's another miniseries happening, so I still got time. I got a reprieve.
They totally hid that from us. It is not something that we saw in previews,
right,
you know, at all. Although we are only going out to, I think, July previews now.
Right.
So they might be adding this to July, or it might just show up in August, and then we get August, September, October, November, December.
Possibly.
So we get the last Maestro miniseries issue coming out at the end of the year. So like I said, maybe Roddykat has till the end of the year to read that. So
yeah. But yeah, right. Like I said, there's a rhyme or reason that we don't know about it. Even if there isn't a rhyme or reason, then it is what it is, I guess. Because it has been good. That being said, they have been good reads. If, like I said, I kind of would like to know if they're going to lead to something. All right.
Other than Hulk Future Imperfect.
Well, other than a past event that has already happened. Yes. That being said, that is it for me. So what you got? If you got anything.
Well, we already covered Kiladelphia on the wheel. We covered New Mutants on the wheel. So no, I'm done.
Oh, okay. So we're both done. As a matter of fact, I totally forgot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen that way, folks. In fact, the one thing I forgot to do is that and put in the last book. So that's to cover the last book. So now we're going to clicks of the week.
Clicks of the week.
We have a couple of clicks of the week which is in a rare occasion, from both of our absent co-hosts. It would either be one or the other, but you know, they're busy folk, so you know. From Dirt, we got Batman Superman 18 for him. He says he thought, is this Jin Yang?
Yes, Jin Wen Yang, yes.
Okay. He thought Yang was going to wrap it up, but he tossed in an 11th hour monkey wrench that added another fun twist to the story. And that's from Dirt. And from Tim, he got Robin #2, which I'm not surprised by, actually. Because 1, it was fun, and 2, we know that we know Tim is a fan, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is a Damian Wayne fan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. And it was definitely was a good read. So it is definitely a potential click of the week for both of us. So there is that. Do you have yours?
I am thinking, because, as I said earlier, I've got a lot of potential candidates to sort through this week. There was a lot of fun reads out there.
Indeed. While you're thinking about that, there was a couple of them I kind of want to get to that we didn't get to that I am curious about. I don't know whether they're going to be actually good or not, but there's a couple of them that I'm probably going to read sometime this weekend, hopefully. Star Wars Darth Vader #12, which is
oh, that's right. Those are your intended reads,
right? which is again, for some strange reason, Darth Vader is being tied into this war of the. It's a Star Wars line wide thing, so I know that. So don't at me on that. But I'm just saying, Darth Vader is getting pulled into this war of the bounty hunters thing, which I guess you can kind of get. But
right, so they're making all of the current Star Wars books essentially happening in the same timeline.
Yes, Dr. Aphra also came out this week, also a part of that.
Right, so they're all happening in that time period, like the post Empire, pre Jedi.
Correct. So
that's such a good idea. I'm gonna be honest. That is such a good idea.
But it's weird. So basically, the premise is, hey, guess what? Boba Fett's this is pretty much what happened from when Boba Fett gets or after Boba Fett gets Han Solo in Carbonite to him finally getting to Jabba's palace on Tatooine. So this is kind of a thing that happens in that, and which means there are a whole bunch of interested parties, and obviously our crew of our crew of rebels, trying to find him at the same time. So you can understand why they, the premise is weird, but I mean, it's not weird. It's good, but it's also kind of like it's centered around Han being in Carbonite. That's kind of crazy. But I know that is a story that I'm pretty sure some people, kind of want, because he got there from somewhere, but you would think like, no, it was just a cut and dry. Boba took him from Cloud City just straight to a thing, but so things could also happen in between, which apparently does happens, and something did actually happen.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, a lot happens.
Yes.
But but my only point in saying what I said was, I think it's such a great idea for them to tell those stories, those volumes of the Star Wars, the Aphra, the Vader books, in that same timeline.
Oh, totally, and they're good books separately,
so that they can tie in, and I think that's that's the best idea they could have had.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they've had a shorter line wide event happen, and that one was kind of like, I have no idea what what this is supposed to be doing. And you could kind of sort of say that in order, because you know how events play out. You know the end point, but it's still kind of sometimes good to see, hey, here's what happened along the way of some of this stuff, or here's how this character got this thing.
All right.
But yeah, so I haven't read these yet, and I guess Agent 70 was going to also.
I'm still thinking about my potential click of the week.
That's fine, because I could.
So we did our 2 from our co-host, right?
Yeah, we did do those. Also, My Little Pony Transformers number 2 is also out this week. I haven't read that, but I have a crazy curiosity about that one, because I read that first one, and I'm a sucker for these stupid crossovers with Transformers. That Aliens book out, I don't know about that one, because I hadn't read, neither one of us have read any of that book, the Alien franchise one. That Reptile book came out this week.
Yeah, I tried looking at that. I was like, oh, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll get to it, maybe I won't. I don't know. Agent 70 kind of got to the Heroes Reborn tie-in books, but I did not. But yeah, other side, the other history of DC Universe also came out this week, which I don't think you apparently you didn't get a chance to.
No, I did not get a chance to read that. That's. I mean, I've been keeping up with that too. I remember last month was Katana. Who's it this month?
Looks like Renee Montoya Question.
Okay.
Cover. Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to go through both questions, or if it looks like Renee Montoya Question is on the cover. Gotcha.
Weirdly
enough, so I don't know if these are out this week. There's 2 Transformers book that Comixology had, but Comics List or Diamond had on their listing. So I don't know if either one of these actually are out, and that's why I did not read either one of those. Because there's Transformers number 30.
Were they digital first?
Huh?
Were they digital first or something like that?
They never are. This would be the first time that would be the case.
I'm just saying. That's one reason why that stuff happens when it comes to Comic List and Diamond. You know what I mean?
And even Comixology has it where it's like print and digital on the same day. So I don't know what maybe it was mislisted or something, or I'm not sure.
No,
But
yeah.
Comixology is selling it, so that's where I saw those out there. But Transformers number 30 and Transformers Beast Wars number 4 are both out on Comixology.
Right,
So
but we don't have copies of them, right?
I do, but no, we didn't.
No,
I
no,
don't
but
think.
you know what I mean. Like in
No,
terms of
no. We did not get one in the box, but I
right.
went and got a copy because I did see him out there.
I gotcha.
Star Wars, I'm not gonna go to the rest of it, but there's some stuff out there. I'm kind of also still stalling for I'm still trying to figure out mine, but I think I'm actually probably just going to Hail Mary it and go with Beta Ray Bill.
What were the Transformers titles you're talking about? Because it doesn't look like they were on IDW. They're IDW, right?
Right.
They're not out next week either.
I know. I checked out all that. Like I said, the only place I've seen it out is Comixology, which is weird because normally, like I say, the print and they usually come out print and digital the same day.
Right.
So, but Transformers number 30 and Transformers Beast Wars number 4.
Wow, not this week or next week. That's really that's weird.
Yeah, I know. That was like that's why I was like
it would be one thing if it was supposed to be this week and then they just messed up and it comes out next week, but
right.
No, just out of curiosity, I clicked on next week on Diamond and it's not there. Wow.
Right. And I did the same thing on Comixology and there. So I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But again, like I said, Comixology has it, so they're selling it for whatever other reason. Strange Adventure. I just stopped on Strange Adventure. I was like, I thought it could have been something, but maybe I'll go back and check some of that out.
All right. So let me think.
I think I'm going to go ahead and go to Beta Ray Bill number 3, though.
Nice. Oh, that's a good choice, man. Mm-hmm. That is a good choice.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm probably going to throw a curveball and I'm going to go with Heroes Reborn number 4.
Oh, nice.
Because I just had such a great time looking at Stoko's art and that great Dr. Spectrum. That Dr. Spectrum story was so crazy.
Yeah.
Because they have altered the characterizations of these squadron characters to fit into the Squadron Supreme of America framework.
Mm-hmm.
And they've made Dr. Spectrum into like this like super militant Hal Jordan. He's like super, and they're all like very much America first, yes. America elitist. Like I only thought that was Hyperion, but it's also Dr. Spectrum.
All of them. Yeah. No, it was, in a way, it was kind of blurred too. It was less so blurred, but you still see shades of it.
Right, exactly. There's shades of it, but it's so strong with Spectrum. Mm-hmm. It's still strong with Nighthawk too.
Yes.
So and Nighthawk is in the next issue. He's going to be highlighted in the next issue. So yeah, I'm going to go with Heroes Reborn number 4 because I just really enjoyed that Lobo take on Rocket. I thought that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, that whole from what I skimmed through, that whole thing was the fight between them. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't mind seeing like a miniseries with them just kind of going at it every now and then. It was like Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner type situation where they're just running up on each other, or one's running up on the other, I guess in that case. But yeah, it was fun to kind of go through. I'm definitely gonna give that a deep read. Probably after this, and the couple of tie-ins too, just for giggles.
Got it.
That being said, yeah, we're going to move on to the news section, but first, an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron, always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Oops. And we start off with the cinematic news as we do every week about this time. We actually should I have to remember this for next week going forward. Questions, if anybody has questions in the chat, if you are out there, you can, in the Twitch chat or the YouTube chat, which we'll be watching, and also on Twitter, at our respective pages.
Our respective handles.
Yes,
on Twitter.
We actually need to get the CB Cron one so that we could kind of get that one. I mean, we could see it, but we don't. We probably won't need. We could just look. Yeah, we could just look at it. Regardless of cinematic news, Star Wars: Rangers of the New Republic reportedly no longer in active development. No surprises. One of Lucasfilm's many Star Wars projects has been reportedly shelved. According to Variety, Rangers of the New Republic is no longer in active development at the studio. It is unclear if the studio has been put on indefinite hiatus or will return to Lucasfilm's slate sometime in the future. A reason for the move was not given. However, if you remember, fans and friends, a certain person running their mouth on social media who was not doing themselves any favor by talking a bunch of conservative yang, one Gina Carano. Well, I mean, I don't think in this case it was, but I remember it was some yang, regardless of what was surrounding it. But she got fired, and she was supposed to be the crux of that show. So now it's not. So despite there not being any reason given, that's probably part of the reason that they're not saying.
Exactly.
Although weirdly enough, they didn't have to cancel. They could have just been like, all right, well, we'll get rid of her character, and we got other people like those two X-wing pilots. They could have centered it around. We don't, that from the Mandalorian that they could have gone with, or they may have had something to do with that. Regardless, there's something they could have done, and maybe they are. We don't know. Next up, so Lucasfilm clarifies the Dave Filoni promotion, which caused the stir on Twitter. So the internet got very excited when Lucasfilm's website updated the title of Star Wars: The Clone Wars and The Mandalorian's Dave Filoni to Executive Creative Director of the studio. But it turns out he's been in the role for quite some time, and it just took until now for some poor schmo who does web development to make the website reflect that. Right. And I don't know if in recent interviews with him, they probably have been using that title, and nobody really blinked an eye until it actually somehow came out on social media, or just came out this way.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of funny. But congrats either way. Just well deserved. Man's been doing some great shit with those shows. And the update, still haven't watched Bad Batch, and there's a reason for that. And but I have started my rewatch back up, so I'm halfway through season 6. And there's a reason for that, because there was a little wrinkle that I totally forgot about, that I think doesn't happen until season 7. That kind of sort of directly ties to the Bad Batch with one of the characters, and I was kind of curious about it. So I was like, that's why I started doing Bad Batch, and was like, let me stop once again. Anyway, next up.
Listen, there's so many times when I am the one behind, but this is one of those times when I'm not.
Yeah, go figure.
Am I up?
No, I believe this is me.
Oh, you have WandaVision?
Yep.
Okay, good.
MCU Scarlet Witch has the power to travel to other universes, confirms Elizabeth Olsen. So apparently, let's see, Phase 4, Wanda's Hex. Oh yeah, WandaVision. Boy, I hate when these articles kind of like to talk about stuff that we already know about before they get to the gist of the article. During her recent appearance on the Hollywood Reporters Award Chatter, Olsen casually revealed that Wanda, quote unquote, has a few fun powers. Telekinesis. She can travel between universes. Unfortunately, the actress didn't expand on the information, perhaps realizing that she may have revealed a bit too much. Especially considering that it's not exactly hinted at during WandaVision. I mean, telekinesis she's magic, so sure, there might be a form in that off of that, but I wouldn't call it. I can't say I would call it telekinesis in that form, like what you would see.
Not the way we think of
right, like not in a Jean Grey Professor X type manner.
Right. Well, Professor X doesn't even have telekinesis yet.
I thought he did, but he just doesn't use it.
No, Jean Grey, yes.
Yeah, but I because one day Professor X had it, he just never really used it. So.
But
Anyway,
but in any event, Roddykat's point is valid because it's just it's another way of thinking about the ability to move things with your mind, not necessarily being telekinesis.
Right? Yeah, she's doing it with magic. So
exactly. So, but in any event, moving on, Sebastian Stan says he'll play Bucky as long as Marvel will let him, and he knows a good thing when he sees one. Apparently,
right. I mean, he had a 9-picture deal, so this man was like, "I'm here for it," regardless of whether he knew what was going to happen with his character or not.
Exactly. So speaking on the Just for Variety podcast, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier actor admitted he has no idea how much longer his time in the MCU will actually last, stating it's not up to him. He doesn't make these decisions. As long as they'll keep calling, he's there. He doesn't know. He gets old too, like everyone in the world. He ages, so he doesn't know what that means. But maybe it doesn't mean anything. He has no idea. He's just going for the ride.
Yes, he's just going to start looking more and more like Mark Hamill, maybe.
So wait, so 9 pictures. So let's do a little bit of math. 9 pictures, right? So we've got because he's already done a chunk.
He's done a chunk. He's done at least 5.
Avenger, right? First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War, right? Infinity War, Endgame. So that's 5.
Yes. Now, what we're counting as, whether how Falcon and Winter Soldier plays into that as a thing, like maybe that's one thing. And not necessarily a picture. He's probably most likely going to be in. He's going to show up in Phase 4
exactly. Well, he's going to be in the next Cap movie,
right?
So whether or not that's at the end of Phase 4 or Phase 5, we'll see.
Right. So that still lets out at the very least a good 3 to 4 other things for him. If that, and I have no reason to believe it's not that contract is still in play. Because maybe they tried to, maybe this is him saying that, like, I don't know if it even says so here, because I do remember initially that he definitely had a 9 film run on this contract. Because I remember when they were even talking about all that stuff. So, yeah, we'll see. Next up, though, which hey, we're like, Bucky's all right. Sebastian Stan's all right. Seems so far he ain't done nothing crazy. Time that we know of. But next up, I'm going to take these 2 actually. Time is of the essence as Tom Hiddleston recaps Loki's Marvel journey so far in just 30 seconds. Except I think it was like 32 seconds, but we're not going to talk about that. So yeah, there was a spot that you can see out on YouTube, and it's probably on actually I don't know if it's on Disney Plus. So let me not even say that. But where Hiddleston as himself talks about Loki's journey through the MCU. Including the what happens to him in Endgame. So there's that. And then apparently Loki causes mischief because what else is Loki going to do in new exclusive images of the Disney Plus show. And I guess it's coming from Total Film, who Loki is on the cover of for I guess this month. So if you're watching the video, you can see some of the images from the Total Film magazine, I assume, cover story. You see Loki and Owen Wilson and another guard talking, and you see Gugu Mbatha-Raw as I'm not sure what her character's name is going to be, but no, regardless, you see Loki and a couple other people in various scenes. Wait, that's Luke Wilson, not Owen Wilson, right?
I don't know. He hasn't done anything stupid recently, has he?
Who? Oh no, I think that's Owen Wilson.
I have no idea. I'm not looking at it.
Wait, are you talking about Sebastian Stan? Or are you talking about
No, I'm just playing on what you said earlier. I'm like, I don't know. He hasn't done anything stupid recently.
Owen Wilson. It is Owen Wilson. Okay, yeah. I know it's one of the Wilson brothers.
Gosh.
So yeah, so there's that whole thing, and of course it's coming in another. Actually, wait, it's week after next because it's the 9th is when it starts, not the next week. So yeah, so Loki's coming in a couple of weeks. There you go. Next.
Next up, Black Panther star Danai Gurira to return as Okoye in a Marvel Disney Plus spinoff. So the new expansion into storytelling on Disney Plus is already turning into a widely popular venture for fans and critics alike, expanding on characters who haven't been seen as A-listers yet. So 10 more shows are confirmed to arrive in the next 2 years. One of these is Ryan Coogler's Untitled Wakanda series, which will continue the legacy of the Black Panther movies and fill in the blanks in the fictional African nation. So the Hollywood Reporter shared that Danai Gurira will be reprising her role of Okoye in multiple future MCU projects. She's confirmed to return in 2022's Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and she will also be featured as Okoye in an unspecified, quote, origin spin-off series, quote, end quote, premiering on Disney Plus. It's unclear if the spin-off is the previously reported Kingdom of Wakanda series or a different project. This deal came to light thanks to Gurira's lawyer, Jamie Mandelbaum, who might be on the chopping block, who was highlighted in the place for bringing the deal together for the MCU star, or at the very least is in the sights of the Marvel snipers.
Right. I am very curious about this because one, love Danai Gurira. Two, slightly curious as to why she wasn't why she wasn't the one that showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but glad it was also glad to see Florence Kasumba.
You know what I could say about that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, she's done Walking Dead, but this is before this. But that's beside the point. But you're probably right. But also, I wonder if this spinoff show is going to have Daniel Kaluuya, who was also Kaluuya, excuse me, I'm butchering his name, but who also played her husband in the MCU in Black Panther. So I'm kind of wondering if any of that's going to come. But I guess we will see, or maybe just focus on her up until that to a certain point to where she becomes one of the Dora. We don't know. It's all speculation at this point. Regardless, I'm glad to see it. Next up, new Thor Love and Thunder set photos reveal new Asgard, which looks kind of sort of like that town that we found Thor in Infinity
That's
War.
new Asgard.
Yeah, that was.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? That town, Tonsberg in Norway, is supposed to be the same town that the Red Skull found the Tesseract hiding in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Huh. Wait, where did that come out at?
Norway.
Where did that piece of information come out?
In that article.
Oh.
If you look at it, no, but seriously, if you look at it, and it makes me want to go back to and double check in First Avenger, but that sounds very much like what happened at the beginning of First Avenger. Remember when the Red Skull runs into Filch from the Harry Potter movies,
Not Filch,
and steals the Tesseract, you know?
Right. But also, is it going to be New Asgard? Or is it going to be Broxton? I mean, from the looks of it, it's going to be New Asgard. I know, but
no, it's New Asgard. It's New Asgard in Norway because that's
right
where in whatchamacallit in Infinity War. That's where they find not Infinity War, in Endgame. That's where they go to find Thor. Remember?
Yeah, I know, but like I said, part of me kind of wishes it was like, hey, they're floating above Broxton over Oklahoma.
Oh no, yeah,
but I know,
no, yeah.
But
unfortunately, Asgard didn't end in a good place for that to happen.
Right. So, but I knew, and that was probably going to be some, a thing. Like, but regardless, so yeah, there you go. That town's going to come back.
Alrighty. Next up, Marvel's The Eternals teaser is a total blast. So, there's not much to it other than that this teaser came out. Some quick thoughts.
It looks good. I mean, I can't say anything about the actual movie, but that trailer looked good. You got your little Selma Hayek. I mean, well, wait, yeah, you got you some Angelina Jolie. You got you some Brian Tyree Henry. You got your some Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to the Bollywood Kumail Nanjiani little cameo there. That was pretty fun.
Right. It looked good. We don't really know what the story is. There is a Easter egg thing that obviously, once that the thing came out, there people were doing Easter egg videos on what they think that things are. Weird enough not seeing a blonde Icarus, even though he kind of looks like one Oscar Isaac with a blonde streak, or I guess that's supposed to be a blonde streak.
Or
But
a white streak.
yeah,
I
or a white
assumed it was
streak,
a
yeah.
white streak.
But
A gray
but it's
streak,
definitely a
white
light streak. Yes, exactly. But he's not blonde like he is in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And don't know if that's gonna happen. It's a small thing. It doesn't mean that it has to be the case. But oh, Jim McChan. I don't know how I even thought about that. I forgot about that. Also, who's supposed to be playing Cersei and supposed to be the kind of sort of main character of it. It looked good, regardless of that being said. I watched it a couple of times because I was like, did I miss anything? What are they doing? Where are they? That kind of thing. So, what about you?
I mean, it's just a teaser trailer,
Yeah.
and I think they're doing a good job of not spilling too much of the story. Although we do have a general idea of their role, I think a lot of what we're going to of how we're going to treat this is the timeline that, or at least the place in time that they put the Eternals, because I think this is going to span a lot of time.
And I think they
I
said
think
that
they're
already.
definitely going to. I think they're definitely going to go into the deep past, and they obviously bring it into the current state of the MCU, because they talk about Steve Rogers.
So that right there is a point that I actually want to
And
bring
Iron
up.
Man, that is,
yeah, and they did it specifically in that vein. There's like at the end there, if you haven't seen it, this is kind of at the end of this, but they specifically say, and I believe it's the character of Sprite, who asks like, now that the Captain Rogers specifically said it like that, and Iron Man, not Tony Stark, they said it like that for a reason. So that's kind of giving people like wondering like what brought that up, or what brought it up specifically like that. Which of course, anytime any of these teaser trailers or anything like that comes out, for these Marvel movies, there's going to be rampant speculation.
Right, I'm kind of curious about that too. But at the same time, there's so many people that call him Captain Rogers.
True.
In the MCU, they almost hardly ever call him Captain America.
I don't know. I feel like most normal people, and granted these are not normal people, would have probably called them. I feel like that was said in a kind of a familiar tone. I could be totally wrong about that, but and I think there was even a shot of I think Athena fighting against somebody with a Captain America like shield.
Right, that's one of the exactly. That's one of the spoilers, or at least the Easter eggs that people have pointed out. So,
right.
But I just I didn't bump on it nearly as much as maybe some other people did, because of the fact that Steve Rogers wasn't exactly a secret identity.
True, you're right.
MCU. So that's just my point of view.
And
so
I guess,
we won't know until the movie comes out. So
right, and another way to put that is like, especially coming out of Falcon and Winter Soldier, like yes, he was. They did mention him being Captain America, but even like you just said, like yeah, it was more Steve Rogers, the Captain Rogers type, type situation even then. So that could very well also be the case. But it's a fun thing to poke at, especially in their place in it, because even there's been a lot of memes since this teaser came out of Endgame happens, and this is the Eternals, and then you see them like sleeping or just looking at it, and or some meme where they're just like, oh my god, what's going on over there type situation,
Cousin Thanos did what?
Right, exactly, and we don't know. Well, we can assume that that's going to get brought up, even though we haven't seen the Star Fox yet, and so we can kind of assume that maybe
right.
that is also
this is
a thing that
supposed
people
to be a
kind
strain of Eternals that's different from the strain of Eternals that lived on Titan. So
right. Or at least in the comic book wise, and then whether they're going to just because we're like, no, we're not doing that, and just going to have them all coming from Titan, which could very well be the case given one image or one or two images from the Caesar. We don't know.
Right. We don't know.
And of course, yeah, Kit Harington as I was about to say Jon Snow, but he's Dane Whitman. He shows up in here too. I don't. Yeah, sure. Next up, anyway, we've wrung that one out. Next up, though,
it's you.
Is it? Doctor Strange casting of Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One was a mistake, says Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios president. So the controversial casting of Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One in 2016's Doctor Strange was a mistake, according to Kevin Feige. Feige has admitted. Speaking to Men's Health, of all places, for a cover story on Shang-Chi, let me get that right, and The Legend of the Ten Rings star Simu Liu, Feige said that the uproar over casting Swinton as a Tibetan magic arts guru was a wake-up call. Quote unquote. We thought we were being so smart and so cutting edge, Feige said. We're not going to do the cliche of the wizened old Asian man. But it was like a wake-up call to say, well, wait a minute. Is there any other way to figure it out? Is there any other way to both not fall into cliche and cast an Asian actor? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. The accusations of whitewashing the character saw Marvel at the time claim it supported creative freedom, including in casting. So, and then it goes into a Marvel press statement that, or at least what seems like a press statement, blah blah blah. Like, you know, so we don't have to necessarily look into that. I like Tilda Swinton. I thought it was not, you know, she was good in the role. I was like, yeah, I don't know, they could have got somebody else for it. I don't know how you feel, or if you even had any feelings on it.
I thought they should have kept the ancient one in there, like, you know, the old Tibetan dude.
Right, and they made her Celtic.
I thought they did it because they wanted to not step on China's toes, but you know, they can say they wanted to not make it a stereotype, which is believable, but I don't think the truth.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on the because we all know that China is a big market for movies, especially for movies such as this. So yeah, that's probably more the underlying issue that we don't, you know, that's popped up in a couple of times that people don't seem to realize or want to believe.
So, but yeah. Speaking of Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange co-writer C. Robert Cargill expanded upon why director Scott Derrickson left the Doctor Strange sequel, Multiverse of Madness, but ultimately it comes down to Cargill telling Cinema Blend that Derrickson's decision was partly motivated by his desire to direct The Black Phone, an adaptation of Joe Hill's 2004 short horror story that he and Cargill wrote together. So Cargill was willing to wait until Derrickson was available to make The Black Phone, but Derrickson ultimately decided to step away from the Doctor Strange sequel rather than compromise his vision. So
I think the rest of the article is probably more fitting than that part. Like, I feel like this, like, you're gonna, like, man, some people will actually turn down, like, this is a big budget ass movie and don't want the pressure or whatever, like, but he's already did the first one. So the article goes on to say that it was creative differences and that he wanted to do one movie and Marvel wanted to do another one. I feel like that probably explains it way more than that other statement that he made.
Fine.
Yeah. Personally, that's just me. Could be not the case. Who knows? Next up, oh, this is fun. Kraven the Hunter movie cast Aaron Taylor Thomas in his lead role. So if you're keeping track, folks, Aaron Taylor Thomas has played Kick-Ass, Quicksilver, and now going to be Kraven the Hunter. That's a lot of K sounds. I'm just saying. And two of those are in the same kind of sort of universe. Well, should have been in the same sort of universe, but this is Sony and their whole Spider-Man thing, so just technically not. It's not the first time a person has also played multiple roles in a universe that is, you know, let us forget the Captain America Human Torch thing. So I don't know how you feel about it. Do you even care?
I'm looking for the right one. 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 You know what? Honestly, I don't even care.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
I don't even care. It's Sony doing Sony things.
Pretty much.
All right, next up, Titans cast has announced the show season 3 premiere month. So HBO Max has set the season 3 premiere window for Titans. In a video featuring the show's full cast, it's confirmed that season 3 of Titans premieres in August. Whoop-de-doo.
Have you been keeping up with that?
I have, but the way they ended season 2 left me with a sour taste. So I don't know. I don't have high hopes for season 3.
Gotcha. The Flash officially debuts Bart Allen's Impulse costume. I'm sorry. The CW shared the first look of Jordan Fisher's Bart Allen sporting his Impulse costume ahead of the character's debut on The Flash, which I think probably should mention that I think there's a trade came out with a bunch of Impulse stuff this week from DC. But anyway, the image features Fisher decked out in a classic red and white suit with yellow goggles, designed by Ocean Drive's Kate Main, in a pose that homages Bart's return to the DC universe in 2018's The Flash number 50. This official release follows a leaked set photo of Impulse that began circulating in May, which is why this picture probably came out, because it's like, oh, we can't just have that leak photo be the thing that people latch on to. I don't know. It is what it is. Next.
It's kind of dorky looking,
yes,
but at the same time, they couldn't have had him flex a little bit, just a little.
I wasn't going to say that, but yes, you were right.
No, I'm gonna say it. Shots fired.
Yes. We get yes, we get the
I'm
point.
firing all the shots.
Yeah, all of them. You everything. Yes.
This is me in Predator. When whatchamacallit, when the Predator takes Jesse Ventura's character and whatchamacallit, and the other characters start shooting into the forest.
Yes, deforestation happens.
Because all they needed to do was have him flex just a little bit with his right arm, and it wouldn't look nearly as dorky.
Yeah.
Because the original image is dorky. It's meant to be dorky.
Right. It
kind of a little bit of a flex would have helped.
Right. It kind of looks like he was like it was one of those commercials for the toy, or for the you too can dress up as Impulse. Yay!
It's just goodness. All they need to do is just a little tweaking.
But anyway,
just a little.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up, Jordan Calloway reacts to Black Lightning spinoff cancellation on CW. Mm-hmm. So the proposed series received a backdoor pilot in Black Lightning's final season. So Jordan Calloway has reacted to the news that Painkiller, the proposed spinoff of the CW's Black Lightning, won't be moving forward with the network, as reported by Deadline. Calloway, who portrayed Khalil Payne, aka Painkiller, in Black Lightning and was scheduled to portray the character in a potential spin-off series, confirmed the news to his fans on Monday, the same day as the series finale of Black Lightning. Quote, Painkiller will not be going any further, so let's rip that Band-Aid off now, he said in an IGTV post. He went on to express his heartfelt gratitude to his fans and supporters, as well as the cast and crew, and all those at the CW and Warner Media who afforded him the opportunity to even do a spinoff. And with all due respect to the actor, when I heard that there was a character named Painkiller, I was like, who? So,
and some people probably went to the Dark Horse character, or was it Dark Horse, or
it was Painkiller Jane?
Yeah. Some people probably went to that character as opposed to, I know I did. Impulses. I need to catch up on Black Lightning. I hear good things about it, and I know they did a Doctor Who character swap, weirdly enough, right near the end of this season and series, so that was kind of weird. But anyway, the CW officially makes DC's Naomi its newest superhero series, which means that it's got a series order. Excuse me. The network announced on Monday that it picked up Naomi to series 5 months after it was first reported that Ava DuVernay is developing a live-action show based on the titular DC Comics character. Shortly after the announcement, DuVernay, who was writing and executive producing Naomi with Arrow's Jill Blankenship, took to Twitter to confirm the show's pickup. And you can check out the tweet that Ava DuVernay put out right there in the show notes, or if you're watching the video of this show. I got it up right now. Boom. Ha. Next up.
Alrighty. The DCEU Supergirl shares fan art of her new haircut. I didn't skip one, did I?
No, you're good.
Okay. So the Flash star Sasha Calle or Cal, no, I think it's Callie,
Yeah.
who will play the first Latina Supergirl in the DCEU film, shares fan art featuring her new haircut and superhero costume. The actor retweeted a post from 2D illustrator Linnea with the caption "Incredible" and a heart emoji. The fan art features Callie Supergirl floating through the sky in her blue superhero costume and red cape. 2 days prior, Callie shared a photo displaying her new shorter haircut, which inspired the fan art. Okay.
Yeah, there we go. And you see both of those right there. There's the fan art, and there's her post. Next up, Godzilla. Singular Point confirms U.S. Netflix release date, which I almost thought we already had this one out. But regardless, it has confirmed that it will be releasing on Netflix in the United States and other territories outside of Japan. Toho's Godzilla franchise has been stepping out in big ways lately. I have not seen anything that would denote such a thing happening. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, it's going to be streaming on Netflix globally on June 24th. This update does not come with a reveal of whether or not the series will be receiving an English dub release when it hits, but at least the announcement comes with an intense new look at Godzilla Singular Point, which you can check out in the article. Next.
All righty. Next up, some box office news. The latest installment in Universal's Fast series kicked off with apparently massive, for COVID times, $162.4 million in 8 markets, including China, Korea, and Hong Kong. The ticket sales easily marked the best start for a Hollywood blockbuster since COVID-19 hit. It's an encouraging start to summer movie season, but I do have a little bit of an underbelly to this, which is apparently the drop off because of not so great word of mouth in China. Ticket sales was pretty severe because a lot of that money was made in like the first few days, and then a few more days out there wasn't much repeat or new sales. So that's not the best sign, but it is also a Fast movie.
No pun
I don't know
intended.
what people expect to see in a Fast movie.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I mean, there have been articles saying that this was going to be the movie that was going to bring the box office back, that was going to bring movies back, and that's put a lot of pressure on this movie. I think we've said that before. When we saw that last trailer. But it did some numbers overseas, so maybe it'll do something here when it comes out. I don't know, but that's a lot of pressure for this movie. And speaking of, take this next one, please.
Sure, I actually listened to this podcast. So Fast and Furious 9 director Justin Lin revealed the 1990 sitcom The Golden Girls, and a sweeps month programming stunt sparked Fast 5, the series entry that took the franchise in a new direction. So in a chat with Entertainment Weekly posted on Twitter, is actually a part of the EW Binge podcast that is highlighting the Fast series. Lynn showed a coffee mug with a drawing of Betty White as Golden Girls character Rose Nyland, saying inspiration for Fast 5. He's not kidding. What he said on the podcast was that they had this thing called Hurricane Saturday Night, a crossover of the Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and Nurses, which aired November 9th, 1991. All 3 shows were on NBC and set in Miami, and all 3 episodes got hit by a hurricane. And at the time, it was the first time he was like, oh, they all exist in the same universe. So that was the inspiration for Fast 5. They brought back all the characters from the previous Fast movies. They all exist in the same universe. So that's the Golden Girls connection. I thought that was funny.
I did too. And I was like, you know what? The man's got good taste. Who doesn't like
I thought that was funny. I definitely recommend those podcasts because they deal with many of the lead characters. So they've had Sean Boswell, they've had whatchamacallit, they've had Dom Toretto, and they've had now they've had Justin Lin. Right. So I'm trying to remember who they're supposed to have upcoming for number 4.
Luda? No, I don't know. But Golden Girl, you know what? It's crazy, but it also makes, for some strange reason, some complete sense. And also, who doesn't like Golden Girls? Anyway, crazy people. That's who. Snake Eye Star promises the film. What is it with you and podcast named Binge, by the way? Can we unpack that real quick? But anyway, Snake Eye Star promises to the film is a step one to building a new G.I. Joe universe, quote unquote, the correct way. We'll see about that. Snake Eye's G.I. Joe origins will be the start of a new G.I. Joe film universe, according to Henry Golding. Golding broke down.
I was gonna say they already had Luda on to talk about Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, okay. Golding broke down the film's first official trailer on comicbook.com, noting that it was mind-blowing, quote-unquote, to be cast as a Ninja Commando. It's a character that we've all loved and we've all pretended to be on the playground, Golding said. We've all snuck around in the kitchen closet, waiting to jump out at our brothers and sisters. It's amazing to think that we're going to have a new generation of kids fighting to be Storm Shadow or Snake Eyes on the playground, and I love that idea. I have weirdly wanted to go back and watch those other two movies, and thankfully I cannot find them anywhere. Actually, I can't find both of them. I think I found one of them out there legally. That is the thing you should not want to do, folks. Neither one of those movies are great. The first one, definitely. The second one's is kind of better, but still not great.
Ugh.
Exactly. That sums it up right there. Next up.
Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery started production in November 2020. While writing for the series is wrapped, filming still continues, and returning for the new season is comedian Tig Notaro. Notaro's character Jet Reno debuted in Season 2 episode Brother and has been a recurring character since her debut. In a recent interview with the AV Club, Notaro confirms she's in Toronto reprising her role as engineer Jet Reno. The comedian enjoys balancing her stand-up shows with her Star Trek role, as the show's schedule is surprisingly flexible. Okay.
Her name is kind of funny to me because there are two people that I know that her names evoke other people that I know on the internet for, which is it's kind of funny. But hey, okay, cool. Let me see. Mark Hamill reflects on his famous Star Wars Muppet Show appearance, apparently. Mark Hamill shares memories of his time guest starring on the Star Wars episode of the 1980s Muppet Show, The Muppet Show. The episode is considered one of the classics for the series, and many praise the episode for mashing up two of the most iconic franchises at the time. I remember that part because he was on Pigs in Space, and I love that bit they did.
Hey, it's on Disney Plus now, folks. You should watch it. I watched it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yada yada. Muppet Show ran for like 5 years. We all know and love these characters, yada, yada, yada. Hamill recently tweeted some reflections about his many firsts during his famous appearance on the Muppet Show in the 80s. He also revealed that the show allowed him to expose, quote unquote, his inner geek on the national television. And we know what a big ass geek Mark Hamill is, and we love him for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is significant as fans know and love Hamill today for his quirky personality and love of pop culture. Check out the tweet below, which says, this Muppet Show was also the first time I gargled Gershwin. That sounds dirty. Time I worked with my cousin Luke Skywalker. Last time I appeared on. Oh, the last time he appeared on Pigs in Space. Excuse me. Pigs in Space. You got to do it like that, just once. One time for the one time. I do have an echo I could do, but I'm not putting it on. Time I exposed my inner geek on national TV and all of the above. So there you go. That's Hamill. And I think he did it in response to a Muppet History post, which apparently is we can see here. Next up, so the live-action Dungeons and Dragons movie that's in development from Derek Kolstad, creator of the John Wick series, has found its party. The feature film will star Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, Reggie-Jean Page, Michelle Rodriguez, Sophia Lillis, and Justice Smith in unconfirmed roles. Grant is expected to play the villain of the movie, Forge Fletcher. The announcement of the film came out this past January when Kolstad was tied to the project, as well as Paramount and Hasbro's filmed entertainment studio E1, setting the stage for a television show based on the popular series later on as well. I am shocked that neither Vin Diesel nor Joe Manganiello are in this movie. I knew that's where you were going with that. Yeah, them both being big D&D fans, surprisingly enough, or unsurprisingly enough, with Manganiello. Well, actually, you wouldn't look at him and be like, "You really?" But yeah, Yeah, big ass
That
D&D
dude's a
nerds.
gigantic nerd.
Right, exactly. It's a beautiful thing to see. Also, what's her face? Who played Karen from Daredevil?
Deborah Ann Woll.
Thank you. Yeah, also her. She could also be another one in here. But yeah, I'm weirdly looking for that other that other Dungeons and Dragon movie I've still not seen, and I kind of don't want to because of who's in it. No, no, I take that back because of it being what it is. The fact that Marlon Wayans is in it just doesn't make it any more appealing either. But still, but yeah, I guess they're trying to be serious about it this time. Like they got some names. You know,
that's a lot of names.
Yeah, like I got some names. Like they got the dude from Bridgerton who pretty much left the show, I guess, to do this. I don't know, and all these other folks. I still haven't seen Detective Pikachu yet either. So maybe that'll be a double feature. It'll be Detective Pikachu and Sonic, and my night will be ruined. Next up, though, Powerpuff Girls live action series pilot is being rewritten and reshot. And shout out to whoever it was on Twitter that pretty much posted that. Posted in reply that Dexter's Lab Delta Funky Homo Sapien song back to the lab again. So apparently it hit a roadblock. So basically the long and short of it is I think there was like a leaked script that came out and the internet got wind of it. I don't know if it's actually a real script or not, and no one seemed to know if it does, but all of a sudden it came around the fact that this is the thing that's going to be happening. They're going back for reshoots. Bullied into doing shit right as it should be. Yeah, basically, yes. I mean, no one shout out to Sharayu in the chat. What's up, Jazz? Yeah, no one asked for this Powerpuff Girls thing. But yeah, they needed to take it back from accounts. They needed to kind of take it back and see to do something different. Especially with what some of the stuff that leaked script had in it. If that was actually the true script, it was all buzzwordy and stuff. It was kind of icky. Next up,
I'll take your word for it. The first trailer has dropped for Karen Gillan's upcoming film Gunpowder Milkshake, and this thing is loaded with some awesome and fun action-packed sequences to bring all the boys to the yard. This flick looks like it's good. Oh my god, what a bunch of hyperbole.
It looks good, but yes.
The story takes place over the course of one night and follows 3 generations of women who fight back against those who could take everything from them in the mother of all action movies. The film stars Karen Gillan, Lena Headey, Angela Bassett, Michelle Yeoh, Chloe Coleman, Carla Gugino, and Paul Giamatti. Gunpowder Milkshake was directed by Navat Papuchado from a script he wrote with Ehud Lavsky. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be on Netflix on July 14th. I actually watched the trailer for this. It looks actually pretty good. It's not based off of a comic book as far as I know or anything, but I just wanted to put it in there because it looks fun. I mean, and Karen Gillan also was Nebula, so, there was a loose
I was about to say, Queen Ramonda's in this too.
Well, also, yes. Also,
as well as
Cersei.
Well, no, I'm trying to think. I'm like, what is?
Oh, she was
comic book wise.
Oh, Michelle Yeoh, who's a Ravager.
No. But yeah, she's a Ravager. But I was focusing on Lena Headey because I didn't want to jump to say the Queen in 300, but
I went straight to Game of Thrones. So
yeah, I know, but I was trying to stay away from Game of Thrones because I was trying to stick to strictly comics.
How about this? It's not comics, but she did play Sarah Connor.
That's true, but has she played? Are we forgetting something that she's played?
Let's find out.
Isn't that terrible, folks? That we're literally trying to figure out if Lena Headey has been cast in any comic book movie or role. Doesn't have to be a movie; it could be a TV show.
300 counts.
That's what I was thinking, but I'm not.
She was in Dread also. So technically, I guess that also counts.
What are we forget? Are we really forgetting anything?
Let me see. The Purge, Terminator, Grip Brothers Grimm, Jungle Book. She's done a couple of The Purge. Let's.
I
Yeah,
guess
don't.
I guess we'll go with 300, but
She might have dodged that outside of not dodged that, but she might have, maybe she hasn't. Because yeah, 300 is pretty much the first thing that's coming up.
yeah.
Infinity Train, she did a voice on. Oh, well, this don't kind of doesn't count, but kind of does. She did a voice on Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the last couple of years.
Well, listen, she did a voice on the Superhero Squad show
Right.
as Black Widow and Mystique.
Right. So
But
yeah,
no, but yeah, I guess we'll use 300 as her comic book role, comic book based role.
Mhm.
You know, all Dread probably counts too.
Yeah. Wait, she did a voice on that Danger Mouse reboot? Huh. Weird. But yeah,
I don't.
that's
Just in my mind, I was like, wait, they haven't cast Lena Headey in one of the recent DC or Marvel movies? It's wild.
That is kind of a surprise. But yeah, I am not seeing anything. Definitely not seeing anything.
Nope. Yeah, because she's just coming off of Game of Thrones, you know, which is obviously what Roddykat thought of, and she's the voice of Eva Lynn on the Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe cartoon that's coming out.
Oh, good pick, great.
So, but yeah, no, but you know, sorry for being sidetracked, folks. We were just really, you know, looking at the comic book bona fides of all these actresses that are listed here. We're like, all right, that works.
Right, because it's easy to say that hey, because most of these people have done some comic book, you know, some either some DCU, some MCU or DCEU work. Sometimes even both, in various in various iterations. Angela Bassett, I'm gonna watch it just for that. Yeah, so right, you check out the trailer. You might like it. Like they don't really show Angela Bassett that much in the trailer, but she pops in at times and with some guns. You know, and not the arm guns also, but also actual guns. No, this looks fun. Like I'm looking forward to when this comes out. And Carla Gugino, you know, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's another one. I know Spy Kids, I believe, is her big thing though. Carla Gugino.
Yeah, I'm not looking that one up, but okay.
She's another one that's like, yeah, you see her in some stuff, and it's like, all right, yeah, bet. But I believe I'm gonna do it real quick.
All right, fine, he'll look it up.
Oh, Watchmen. She was in Watchmen. There you go.
Okay.
Anyway, next up. Oh, she was.
I was about to say. Michelle Yeoh is gonna show up in Shang-Chi anyway, so she's actually gonna be in the MCU proper.
Okay. Well, yeah, because they did the same with Gemma Chan, so that makes sense. Also, she was apparently Carla Gugino was also the ship in Justice League, the voice of the ship in Justice League.
Oh my gosh!
Zack Snyder's Justice League. Excuse me. Yes, the mom from Spy Kids.
All right, finish up the movie news.
Excuse me. Last but not least, this is not necessarily. Well, I feel like this is gonna touch upon some comic book related stuff, which is why I put it in there. In that Amazon has bought MGM for $8.45 million. Now we know Amazon's got a scratch, and we know MGM's kind of been on the block for a minute. Almost every other article I have seen has had an image of Daniel Craig's James Bond in it, and I was like, we know MGM has done more stuff than James Bond. But anyway, Amazon have reached a deal to acquire the film and TV company MGM for $8.45 billion, by the way. The company announced already yesterday, I think it was. It's a significant acquisition for the e-commerce giant, and it means that it will own a library of content that is reported to consist of around 4,000 films and 17,000 hours of TV. The acquisition is likely to help Amazon attract even more big spending Prime subscribers, as its Prime Video service competes with the likes of Netflix and Disney. It does not compete with the likes of Netflix and Disney. It has a couple of things, but no, sir. Yeah, and as somebody does say in the chat, hey, I'm tired of these bigger companies buying every other company. It makes me nervous AF. Yeah, I agree. Like Amazon, it was inevitable that they were going to try to buy somebody, and they've been kind of making moves, like smaller moves like this in the acquisitions they've been getting, in kind of the moves that, the whole Clant stuff being a smaller title, my design, but this is a bigger issue. Like I said, knowing that MGM's been on the block for a minute, and that's why the James Bond movie hasn't been kind of going forward, because it wasn't part of the fact wasn't sure, if they were going to be able to do the movie, much less whether they would want to. So yeah, MGM's kind of been looking to kind of get bought. So yeah, so it'll be a lot more Hollywood movies, I guess, on Amazon as opposed to other places. So there you go. You look forward to seeing Casablanca on Amazon if it's not already there. I don't know if Amazon's an MGM property, but probably is. Next up, we're going to switch over to the comic book news. I guess we can kind of skip this one, but Mystique recruits her ex to help her bring back her wife in X-Men 20 preview. We talked about this earlier. I did not know they had messed around. When did Mystique and Forge have a thing?
I don't clearly remember it, but I kind of remember it.
Okay.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comic book history, so sure. Next up.
Marvel's Voices Pride highlights queer couples Nico Minoru and Carolina Dean, and Prodigy and Speed. So this is a first look at two stories inside that June 23rd anthology. There's a page reuniting Chris Anka with The Runaways, written by Mariko Tamaki and colored by Tamara Bonvillain. And, that page is part of a story focusing on the Runaways power couple of Nico Minoru and Carolina Dean. And keeping with the teen hero theme, the Young Avengers is Prodigy and Speed grab a slice along New York City St. Mark's Place in a story by former Young Avengers writer Kieron Gillen, along with artist Jen Hickman and colorist Brittany Pierre. Okay.
So I knew about Prodigy and Speed. In fact, that has come up recently in X Factor. I did not know that. I knew both of those were, I think, either bi or lesbian, what to do, but I didn't know they were a couple. I thought they were with like different people. Nico and Carolina. Nico and Carolina.
Oh, that's a long-standing thing.
Is it? Okay. I wasn't.
It's a long-standing thing.
So maybe.
Well, no, I mean, but like you said, some of them were with other people, but this has been like a long-standing relationship throughout, like their run in the comics.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I know that Runaways is kind of a series that I've been wanting to get into, but I haven't, even going back to the original stuff. But I know of the characters. I just don't know a whole lot about them outside of seeing them in other places.
Right, and the TV show did a good job of portraying this relationship too. So it's a shame that the TV show didn't carry forward.
Right, that's good to know, though.
But it's on Disney Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it? Oh yeah, I think they did put it over there. Yeah, you're right. I think you might be right.
That means it sort of counts. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's sad to think about it in that capacity, but yes.
Because I don't think Cloak and Dagger's up there, and that's a giant shame.
Well, that also might be from maybe some licensing with that show. Because I mean, I know there might be some different.
They put it. I mean, that was on ABC Family, I think. So that might be true, but it is also within their family. So maybe it's a matter of it being available to stream on ABC Family.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't looked that up in a while, but I did remember seeing Runaways on the Marvel page in on Disney Plus.
Right. Now when they bring that MODOK show over, then I'll watch it.
Listen, that MODOK show is funny, and it's not in any sort of continuity. It's in its own continuity, so it's able to draw upon all sorts of things.
Yeah, I want to watch it, but I don't want to get Hulu for it.
That's a good reason to not watch it.
So here's what Marvel is collecting for the upcoming Disney Plus show for Loki. I think we kind of talked about another collection that's happening. But this is pretty much, the show's coming out, so they want to put some stuff out along with it. The 2020 trade paperback collection of Daniel Kibblesmith and Oscar Balzadula's Loki series sold out in the last few days. Marvel has informed retailers that it's on back order, with a new printing expected to arrive July 21st, which is after the start of well, I think Loki's probably gonna be over by that time, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's 1 week after the Loki TV series ends on July 14th. So, it looks like Loki, Agent of Asgard, the complete collection is going to be collecting all 17 issues, plus 6 other related issues. Which I like that series. That's the Al Ewing and League Arbett's series. I enjoyed that. It was like Teen Loki, and he was like kind of like a spy, working for Frigga. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Also available is Marvelverse Loki, a sampler of various stories from across the breadth of its 60-plus year history, from J. Michael Straczynski's Amazing Spider-Man run, Robert Roddy's Journey into Mystery one-off, and more. So let's see. On June 2nd, a week before before Loki starts, which is next week, the first 4 issues of 2010 Loki series by Robert Aguirre Sacasa, yeah, and Sebastian Fiumira, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names, are collected in a quadruple-sized comic book called The Trials of Loki, Marvel Tales #1. And also what the Lady Loki stuff, Loki, Mistress of Mischief, which is going to be out July 14th. But we already talked about that also. And I guess you can kind of, because this article mentions that Thor and Loki Double Trouble miniseries that is currently going on now, which I think is going to be in trade by the time it ends. Well, after it ends, looks like September 1st. So, and that's kind of fun. The first couple of issues that I read. Next up, though.
So next up in toy news, Hasbro snaps Iron Man's Nano Gauntlet into stores with removable Infinity Stones. So that's really all you need to know is that Hasbro has put out one of these Marvel Legends, cosplay replica pieces that replicates the Nano Gauntlet that Iron Man has in Avengers Endgame, and the Infinity Stones are detachable, so you can show it with or without the Infinity Stones. And I think Roddykat has the image of the webpage now, so you can take a look through. And you can, in fact, snap your fingers the way Tony Stark does, that kind of weird way. I don't snap my fingers that way. I always thought that was weird.
Right.
With the middle finger.
Right.
But you can do with the middle finger. And, because they have, they make part of the glove, the flexing part of the glove, flexible enough for you to be able to do that.
Right, and I'm showing that right now. And there's the picture of the box, and they making a note on the box to say that you can snap, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Next up, Disney's new Spider-Man ride features physical microtransactions. So apparently Disney has revealed that guests can purchase a few power-ups for its new new Spider-Man ride opening in June. It's called Web Slingers: A Spider-Man Adventure, that will open up on June the 4th inside Avengers Campus on Disney's California Adventure Park. With the attraction featuring an interactive ride that allows fans to fire off webs by moving their arms. That's the standard version of the experience we'll offer. But for a few dollars more, you'll be able to purchase a web power band and a web tech that unlocks multiple multi-fire webs. The power band on its own will cost $35, and web tech will be an additional $30. But unlike the digital nature of the video game microtransactions, you can at least take these add-ons home and display them. To further entice Marvel fans to spend more money, the web tech add-on is available in Spider-Man, Ghost Spider, Iron Man, and Rescue variants. That's kind of crazy. And no, Sarayu, I do not snap with my middle finger. I've tried it, but no.
I generally don't. Yeah. I think I've combined them once in a while, but it's usually index finger.
Right. Exactly, because it's just easier to do it that way. It's like, wow, which you may not be able to hear because of noise cancellation. But yeah, but if you're watching there you go. If you're watching the video, you are seeing the pictures of these little tchotchke things, these little web shooter things. Cool, I guess. I will probably never get out to California to try this out. There you go. I know someone who do. Hint, hint, Sarayu. Maybe get out there and try it. I don't know. You do. Well, you're a bad girl, so that's we already know you do things great. Next up, though.
Next up, Mondo unleashes its cool Masters of the Universe Hordak action figure.
It's good.
So it stands roughly 12 inches tall. Okay, that's a big action figure, and features 30 points of articulation, fabric, costume elements, and a wide range of accessories. Those accessories include a crossbow, staff, removable cape, 4 pairs of interchangeable hands, and a base. The figure is currently up for pre-order for $230. So if you want it, go get it.
The evil forces of Hordak. You can, do that with your mouse too, also. But yeah, there you go. That's all the stuff that comes with it. And they even got him in a nice pose where he's like, "Huzzah!" I've not been big on Masters of the Universe figures. Some of them I like. I think I may have had one or two of them. Hordak was never one of them, much less Skeletor. That's a lot of money. But to be fair, it's also a lot. Next up, though, MJ Rodriguez writing and directing her own comic and would play Elektra, which is kind of funny considering who she plays against in Pose. Anyway, MJ Rodriguez is an actress and singer best known for her roles as Blanca Rodriguez Evangelista in the television drama Pose. She's also known for her performance as Angel in the 2011 revival of Rent, for which she won a 2011 Clive Barnes Award. She recently appeared on A Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where she talked about naming her stage name after MJ, after the character of Mary Jane Watson, which I wasn't sure about that, so I was kind of wondering. She told Stephen that she has dreams of playing the comic book character Elektra Nachos in any new Marvel adaptation of her comic books. And that she was a fan of Marvel Comics after stealing her uncle's copies until he took her to a comic book shop. Actually, I love MJ Rodriguez. She's dope.
No offense.
Who?
Indeed, she has plans to create her own comic book showing Colbert some of her designs for her new character. As you can see, we're going through name changes. She says, as quote, "I don't know what I'm going to name her. It was either Nivea or Patience. I've been building her up. She's been kind of like me. She's this misunderstood girl in the world. She has a lot, obviously, that's stacked against her, but she beats the odds. I'm like 26 pages in. I'm almost done with the second draft. So I'm really happy with it. And I'm not saying this as making it a point as a point, but MJ Rodriguez is also a trans actress. What else does it says here? Let me see. Oh, so this article from a place that I normally don't go to makes a point of saying if only comic book publishers weren't so reticent about taking on people famous for other reasons, such as acting and giving them their own book, as well as cohort on comic book professionals to make their works look as good as possible, MJ Rodriguez would be in for a shot. Which we know for a fact that they kind of do. Like, there's a lot of people that have done not a lot. There has been a few people that have done other things outside of actually writing comic books for a living that have gotten to write comic books. There are some who have taken it upon themselves and started their own company. Like, shout out to DMC, So, yeah, it's not saying that it don't happen because it very much do. I don't know what this person is talking about. Anyhow, but hopefully we'll get to see it somewhere. And I know the article kind of possibly is like Boom, so Boom could probably possibly take it up or somebody. But hopefully we'll get to see it one of these days. This is one of the few of those like that I would actually kind of see, because we already know how I feel about people coming in from other genres that are not writing.
I was about to say they are barking up the wrong tree with Roddykat with that one.
Next up.
You know, Roddykat holds a completely opposite view on how these people, on how several creators get their start in comics.
I mean, you know.
So the Man of Steel will fight the main man in the upcoming fight comic Superman versus Lobo. Speak of the devil and the devil appears. Writers Sarah Beatty and Tim Seeley are partnering with artists Mirka Andolfo and Arif Prianto for 3 oversized issues pitting the last Zarnian, Lobo, against the last Kryptonian, Superman, at the behest of the DC Omniverse's biggest social media celebrity, Newman. And I love that they actually insert this in here. Never heard of him. That's the problem.
Who?
So apparently Newman is God clogging all social channels, and he does not take kindly to attention going to Superman and Lobo. This is a book. I saw this in the article. Some other stuff about a further complication from another character called Dr. Flick. I don't know if that's from A Bug's Life. Superman versus Lobo will be oversized in more ways than one. It's going to be in the prestige format, meaning wider dimensions, 8.5 by 10 and 7/8 to be exact. This book goes on sale. Number 1 goes on sale of 3. Goes on sale August 24th with a primary cover by Mirka Andolfo with variant covers by Simon Bisley, Tony Harris, and Philip Tan. If
someone in that book doesn't say, "Hello, Newman," then that's just a lost cause. Just scrap the book already. Anyway, DC announces a murder mystery series with Joker as the star witness. So the Joker Presents, which is a murder mystery miniseries featuring the Clown Prince of Crime as star witness. Yeah, that's gonna be fun, I guess. The Joker Presents, a puzzle box, takes place over the course of a night in Gotham's central interrogation room as the Joker reveals a series of seemingly unrelated stories involving his fellow inmates. Stories that also hold the key to solving a larger mystery of murder and mayhem. As the series progresses, it becomes apparent that each tale is actually a piece of the Joker's larger plan. Teases DC Comics, does an agent of chaos even make plans? Why do I feel like this is a usual suspects situation, except for who Kaiser Soze he is in this situation. It just feels like that. Don't ask me why. Next up.
Make sure I didn't skip a story. Jessica Cruz, Midnighter, Connor Kent, and more headline DC's August crop of 5 annuals. There's Flip for Batman and Superman, and Kevin Rescues Harley. So this is, I guess, part of the August 2021 solicits.
That just came out today, I believe. Yes. Or yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but it looks like they are highlighting some characters who are going to be receiving annuals. And some titles are going to be receiving annuals. I didn't know that there's a Midnighter 20. I guess they're doing a one-shot Midnighter 2021 book.
Because he's in the backup of one of the Batman books, I think. Right.
Okay.
Now. Yeah. Because I think he's trapped in a different time or something like that. It was something around Future State that if I remember correctly, but yeah. In fact, one of those books came out this week. It might have been either Detective. Might have been Detective or whatever else came out. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Teen Titans Academy gives Raven visions of DC's dark future. We kind of already talked about this, so we don't really need to go into it anymore. Next.
Alfred Pennyworth gets his due with his first ever DC Comics series thanks to his television show. So, Alfred's been around for 78 years, but has never had his own comic book series until now. This August, DC is launching a comic book series centered on Alfred Pennyworth, tying into the current Epix TV show Pennyworth. It's a shame because they killed the character in the comics already.
Right.
This is chronicling his time as a jet-setting espionage agent, but also fast-forwarding to his years working at Wayne Manor. This was announced as part of the August 2021 solicitation schedule. Okay.
Also weird that they're not using the Gotham version of Alfred, because I love that version. It was Doctor Who's son. He was pretty good. I liked him. Next up, though, Batwoman's J.H. Williams III makes epic return with Echolands this August. After a 6-year drought, comic fans can look forward to new work from J.H. Williams III on a regular basis once more beginning this fall. Echolands is an upcoming creator-owned series by Williams and longtime writing partner W. Hayden Blackman. Together with colorist Dave Stewart and letterer Todd Klein, they're launching this mythic fiction epic series, which publisher Image frames as a comic book event. Quote unquote. In a bizarre future that has forgotten its history, a reckless thief, Hope Red Hood, holds the key to excavation its dark, strange past. If only she and her crew can escape a tyrannical wizard and his unstoppable daughter. I can read, I promise, folks. Reads Image's description of Echolands #1. But fate will send them on a path leading to a war between worlds. There you go. It is going to be presented in a wide landscape format similar to some of David Peterson's Mouse Guard graphic novels. It goes on sale August 25th if you are so inclined. Next
up, what are we up to now?
Power Rangers.
Scrolling to Power Rangers. Goodness gracious. All right. The Omega Rangers return to the site of their greatest tragedy in the latest issue of Power Rangers. This contains spoilers for Power Rangers #7. And if you're reading this, be forewarned. And I'm not sure what the deal is here because I'm not familiar with this comic. But yeah, this is where we go.
Yeah, so Zach, I'm kind of behind on all of this, but it's basically Zach, Trini, and Jason who end up becoming Omega Rangers, away from their original Mighty Morphin cells, and they go to this place called Safe Haven, which apparently was an L they took at one point. I can't remember. I don't know if that was in a previous comic, or I don't know if it was anything in the show that may have, but that's pretty much that. So yeah, next up, Dark Horse unveils queer sci-fi epic miniseries Killer Queens. Comic book writer David M. Boer, from Alien Bounty Hunter, artist Claudia Balboni, Fair Lady, colors Harry Saxon, Vagrant Queen, and letterer Lucas Gattoni, Libestros, I guess, have teamed up for a new 4-part miniseries at Dark Horse called Killer Queens. The comic is described as a queer sci-fi epic from an all-LGBTQ team that aims to tackle issues like love, xenophobia, and fascist dictatorships. Meet Max and Alex, 2 gay reformed intergalactic assassins for hire on the run. The former boss, a fluffy monkey with a jetpack, is hot on their tail to take back to his stolen ship. Even reformed assassins have to eat, so they have to take a mission from Alex's old flame, your standard no-kill, casualty-free kidnapping recovery from a nearby moon. Only complication, half the moon is ruled by a fascist dictator hostile to foreigners. They're the Killer Queens, so what could go wrong? And that is the series, and it will be out August 18th if you are wanting to get your hands on that. Next
up, Peach Momoko's Horizon Zero Dawn covers get a poster portfolio. Currently set for a fall release, images from Titan Comics' Horizon Zero Dawn portfolio reveal Aloy and Talana targeting various enemies.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, it's art. It's a poster portfolio that she's putting out. That's cool for this title. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peach Momoko does some nice art. We have seen her Demon Day stuff most recently, and some other stuff she's been doing. So that's cool.
This poster portfolio will be available to purchase on September 7th.
So cool. Life is Strange character Max Caulfield returns, and True Colors debuts early in Coming Home #1 preview. So if you folks don't know, Life is Strange is a video game series, and the main protagonist of the first one, I guess you could say, is Max Caulfield. And now she is going to get a comic book, apparently. or returning, because unless there was a Life is Strange comic book before this that we didn't know anything about, which probably is likely. But it says Max Caulfield and the characters of the original Life is Strange return in July 7th with the new Life is Strange Coming Home comic book series. But we now know that it'll also feature the debut of the lead character from the next game, Life is Strange 2 Colors. Okay, there we go. So it's pretty much tying the two, I guess, together. That's right. 2 months before Life is Strange 2 Colors game debuts on September 10th, Alex Chen will make his debut in comic books. Chen will star in the backup strips in all 4 issues of Life is Strange Coming Home comic book series, in addition to the long-running arc following Max and her friends from the original game. Max's attempt to return home enters a thrilling new phase, reads Titans Comics' description of Life is Strange Coming Home #1. A shocking discovery offers unexpected hope, and the epic cross-country trip with Chloe and Rachel reveals a new ally. I guess spoilers for Life is Strange, because I'm almost certain it might not, depending on how you play it, it doesn't necessarily roll out like that. But this is going to see Life is Strange Coming Home #1 of 4 goes on sale July 7th, and a collection is scheduled for November 2nd. Next
up, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Special explores Boba Fett's origins. His origin and costume get the spotlight in exclusive photos and an extract from Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Special, written by our very own Tim Dog 98 over at CBR. Fans are soon going to get the chance to learn the origins behind Boba Fett's creation and costume in Titan Comics' Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Special. CBR has 6 exclusive photos of Boba Fett from the special, along with an extract from the deluxe special edition releasing in June. A look at the 6 Boba Fett photos, along with the extract's history lesson behind his origin and costume, can be found below. It's interesting because, you would think that it would be a Marvel license, but I guess Titan Comics is getting this because it's got photos in it.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, and also it's also weird because we know IDW is doing those Star Wars Adventures books, which is the all ages books, and they do a lot of other Marvel stuff, which are for all age books. So there's some weird. There's always some weird.
Yeah, I mean, they're
deals in the
dividing
mix.
up the licensing,
Right.
I guess so that it's not completely exclusive.
Right.
Because, the Lucasfilm stuff is still kind of its own entity under the Disney banner.
Right.
Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back 40th Anniversary Special is priced at $24.99 and goes on sale in June from Titan Comics.
I feel like Titan does like kind of this type of stuff. I know the other thing I know Titan from is like the James Bond stuff. So they definitely are into some license things. I can't remember. There's probably something else we may have read that we did that probably had to grab on our own. That's from Titan. I don't know. Either way, last but not least, Pullbox, the online comic pull list service.
I was about to say you should update your sheet.
Wow, what happened? Oh, did you add something?
I had one last story.
Oh, actually, I did too, but I didn't actually add it because I just wanted to do something. Okay, yeah, I'll put this in here then. In that case, you do this next one. Because the one I had is definitely not one I want to save for next week. Anyway, do you want to watch your orders and subscriptions at your local comic book store without calling or making a physical trip? Now you can. With the new online poll service from the leading comic book distributor Diamond called Pullbox, launching June 7th. Originally announced 3 years ago, and I feel like I remember us talking about this. Diamond's Pullbox is an online service that will allow comic book fans to manage their pre-orders and subscriptions with their local comic book store. And here's the caveat, which you should expect if your comic book store signs up for it. That is,
Right.
pretty sure this is similar to a service that Diamond used to have, because I feel like we talked about that also, like a way long ago.
I don't know if Diamond had one. I honestly think this is Diamond's first foray into computerized
Right.
pull lists.
But there was
Prior to
one.
this, Comixology had one.
Right.
Prior to
Oh
this,
yeah.
and then they were bought out by Amazon.
Right.
Now people do use League of Comic Geeks also if the store signs up.
Hmm.
So this is all dependent upon and ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, children and folks of all ages. If you are out there and you're looking to sign up for a pull list at your local comic shop, speak to them first. Ask them what they're participating in. If they are going to do something computerized, find out which one is easiest for you and see if you're able to work with it, because it is so much easier to do things. I miss the Comixology pull list. That was
Me
awesome.
too. Yeah, it was great. I also miss it. Man, it was so good. And then they split it, kind of sort of split it off in two, and it was like there was this one part about it and this other thing. But outside of that, but yeah, I love that joint. That joint was so great.
So, it's been a while since there's been anything really effective to take its place. And I think Diamond totally dropped the ball with this. It took them way too long to implement this. 3 years is too long to do this.
Not only that, but there's another issue. It's from Diamond. And the issue is not that. The issue is that I'm pretty sure this is probably not going to have the DC stuff. Because didn't DC pull away from Diamond?
Yeah, more likely than not. We don't know exactly how this is all going to work. It's a big mess.
Right. Wait, didn't Marvel also? Yeah, Marvel also just pulled away from Diamond.
Right, but Marvel's still going to be going through Penguin, and then Diamond's going to be getting it from Penguin. So what changes is the discount for the retailers.
Right.
So
there is that. So that is something also to look into, to note before you go to your local store and see who they who they're
right. So at least this may prove to be another option if you are going to set up or revise your pull list at your local comic shop, which is something I advise all of you to do. Some comic shops require that you have at least like a minimum of like 3 pulls, I think, so that they'll maintain it. They won't just create a pull list if you have like 1 book.
Right.
But so long as you're pulling like 3 books or 5, I don't. Sometimes the limits change depending on the store, but just ask them about it. They'll be more than willing to help you out.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And now this is yours.
Yes, last but not least, if Roddykat pulls this up onto the display,
yep, I got
we can go through this article from today's Hasbro Fan First Thursday because of the holiday weekend. So as a result of this holiday weekend coming up, Memorial Day weekend coming up, Hasbro moved its Fan First Friday announcements into Fan First Thursday, and it was out earlier today, or at least as the day of this taping. So the first thing that they announced was a new Age of Apocalypse wave of Marvel Legends. They are, different figures, obviously, from the ones that came out in the previous wave of Age of Apocalypse Marvel Legends. So there's a new wave of figures. But the first figure I think that's in the scroll on the webpage is the new Spider-Man 2099, which is going to be put out on retro carding. And if you didn't catch the Spider-Man 2099 that came out several years back now, this is your chance to do it. It's a nice little figure. I think it's a different figure. It's a more slim figure this time around, but I'd have to double check the old one to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, as you scroll down, you see the next X-Men Age of Apocalypse wave with the Colossus Build-A-Figure included. So you have a Sabretooth, a Magneto, Rogue, Iceman, Legion, who of course is the catalyst for Age of Apocalypse, Cyclops, and Shadowcat with her detachable adamantium claws, which is cool.
That Rogue looks weird.
Because remember, the art during this time was Madureira.
Oh, right.
So I think they're using a lot of the Madureira art for some of these designs.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Shout out to Joe Mad, I guess. Yep. And I'm scrolling through the pictures right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I'm going to allow Roddykat to scroll down. You can see what these figures look like. But the last thing I wanted to see to show Roddykat, because they do have the retro line, right, which is the 3 3/4 inch.
Mm-hmm.
But you see that image of the coming soon?
Yes, with U.S. Agent and Spidey, and
Right. No, but you see but above that, you
Oh
see
yeah,
that
I saw that with Tiger. Yeah.
exactly. That's what I wanted Roddykat to see, because this is what the new Tiger sculpt looks like. If you actually go past the 3 3/4, you'll get another image of the old Tigra that Hasbro did when they first acquired the license from Toy Biz, and then the same image with the new sculpt of Tigra from the screen cap of the Hasbro Fan First Thursday video, so you can see what the new sculpt will look like. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
So I know Roddykat has been looking to complete the Wackos.
Yep.
So that is one figure that I know he's going to be looking forward to.
Yep. And in addition to also being a fan of Tigra. But yes, definitely trying to get my OG Wackos display on. So all need is Wonder Man.
Oh, well, there is already a Wonder Man
of that era.
With the black and the red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already out.
Well, not jumpsuit, not jumpsuit. Because this is because when he got
black and the red, black spandex with the red W.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so that is the one. Yeah,
it's already out. Cool. Yeah, it's already out.
Oh, I had to look for that then. And I think there is a Mockingbird, which I think I would also need to hunt down.
Right, exactly. So based on the Avengers display that I had up, I think Tigra was the one that really that was missing.
Right, and you can find a classic Iron Man figure. So
exactly, you could do Silver Centurion. You could do a couple of different Iron Man armors to put in that. So.
Right, but if you're going like miniseries, like the first miniseries, you're going classic. Even though I don't think you're not gonna have Rhodey's head. I don't think. I'm almost certain you're not gonna, because
you could use the War Machine Rhodey head.
Yeah, I guess it is true.
If you want to go helmetless,
right? Huh.
But yeah, and as Roddykat scrolls through, there's some more of the recent announcements here. Figures that, while I may not be interested, some of you folks may be interested in things that are up for pre-order, things that you can look for on some of the bigger toy websites. Just to be aware, a lot of this stuff, some of the stuff is sold out pre-order, but some of it hasn't. You see the Surtur. I think we talked about the Surtur.
I was still looking at the Quicksilver and Captain America, who look kind of similar, weirdly enough. Let's see. Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Happy. Not the Stain in the Ironmonger.
No, right below.
I know. I was just looking through. Yeah, I did see that, but I didn't. I was like, wow, they actually did a Stain Ironmonger.
Yeah. From
the end.
So that's right. So that Surtur that's underneath is like 13 inches tall. It's like $50.
Okay, that's not terrible.
It's not bad. Yeah, I was about to say, for the size of the figure you get, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So
okay. That's of all of these like new announcements that are movie related, that's the one that's more easily you can cross it over with the comic side, because you're never going to get a comic side accurate Surtur.
No.
So that's the closest you're going to get.
Right. This is like beginning of Ragnarok Surtur. Yeah.
Correct.
I still kind of I'm very curious about the Stain Ironmonger one, though. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, it's a shame that there you can't take that Stain and put it in the Ironmonger. That would be super cool.
Right.
But in any event, Hasbro has been making a killing. They're literally killing all of our wallets.
Yeah.
Especially if you're into the movie stuff, they put out a MCU Odin.
Yep.
They've updated the Thanos. You probably scroll past the Thanos.
I'm there right now. Yeah.
And the Endgame Iron Man and Endgame Thanos with the gauntlet, the nano gauntlet on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was like dead set on recreating all of those movie scenes, I'd be getting killed right now. So, but in any event, that is our last story for the comic book and toy corner section.
Well, I'm gonna throw one up on here. It's
Oh,
gonna
you
be
got
really,
something?
really brief. It's really it's a, I don't know, it's a thing, whatever. Jason Derulo to launch a dystopian sci-fi graphic novel. Jason Derulo, the singer that some of you may or may not know. Z2 Comics is bringing Jason Derulo's passion project to life. The publisher will launch the original graphic novel Uzo in the fall. Uzo, written by Anthony Piper from Trill League and illustrated by Eric Koda of Generation X, is based on an original idea by Derulo. The series focuses on the titular warrior Uzo, who fights to protect his village after a cataclysmic event plunges the planet into a new ice age. I'm sitting here racking my brain for a Jason Derulo song, and the only one I can think of I still don't know the words to, so it's fine. But according to him, I guess, I've been working on, quote unquote, I've been working on bringing Uzo to life for years. So according to he says, from writing scripts to skits on TikTok. So blessed to have worked with a dream team of creators to bring the best version of Uzo to you, Derulo said in a statement. So, yay.
Right. And my golden age hip hop self is like,
Who?
Yeah, I mean he is of the Just Dance generation of the last, say, 10 years or so. Um, kind of a, I want to say kind of a Chris Brown Usher type, I guess.
okay.
Sure, we'll leave it at that. But regardless, that folks is it for the news, and this is the end of the Comic Book Chronicles. But first, an ad read.
Our last ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Have you ever tried an orange wine?
Nope.
Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. So place your first order with $20 off. And to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today.
And as we're coming to an end of another Comic Book Chronicles, I'd like to thank each and every one of you folks for coming out. Well, there's no announcements coming up, so we're just gonna say I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter. I always was going to have a toy corner show and tell, but it's probably not that appropriate, and I can do it next week when I actually unbox the said thing.
Oh no!
But if you've seen my Instagram story, you know what it is, or my last Instagram story, you know what it is. Anyway, Roddykat, Twitter, News Nerds Need, Twitter, CB Caps, Instagram. 8_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PCN_dirt on Twitter, Pop Culture Net on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, and all those umbrella sites therein. And probably Byte doing comic book reviews under comic reviews, no vowels. Maybe. One of these days I'll check. Probably not. Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, the Osiris of this ish. You can find him at that, Tim DOGG98. You can also find him at The Click Nation on Twitter. That's the KLIQNATION. Or you can also find him at CB Chron, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. You can also find him at Comic Book Resources. If you saw, we've been showcasing a couple of his articles that just so happened to get pulled. But Comic Book Resources, that's cbr.com. Go over there, check him out, click on the stuff. He's over there writing his face off. I miss writing about geeky stuff. I feel like I want to get back into it for my own benefit. because folks might know I used to do it on my own thing. Anyway, you can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast personal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page. You can also find us here every Thursday night, 9:30-ish p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we record live on both youtube.com/theclicknation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles. And I'm thinking of trying to add, if I haven't already done it, D-Live. But more on that later. And with that, folks, come back next week. We'll be here.
Yeah. I was about to say, have a safe Memorial Day weekend. We thank the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives while serving in the U.S. military this weekend.
Absolutely. That's right. Stay safe, stay hydrated. If you're in a part of the country or a country that is having unbearably warm weather for this time of year, make sure you hydrate.
And keep your masks on if you are not vaccinated, and even if you are vaccinated, keep your mask on.
Exactly. Whether you are vaccinated or not, keep the mask on. Wash your hands and all that kind of good mess. Definitely keep yourself safe. It's because we are going into con season and there are cons still going on, and we want y'all to be safe.
Right. People are going to be wilding this weekend, so stay safe, folks.
Absolutely. And with that, folks, this has been. Oh, I was going to say also, headphones. Wipe your headphones with alcohol. Get some coverings for them. It's hot. If you're wearing headphones for any length of time, or earbuds, especially earbuds, good God. Wipe them things on with some alcohol, for the love of God. But anyway, and with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
My time is up. Peace out to Brooklyn.
Good evening, Rick. Would you believe